Neon lights pulsate like blood among the high-rise buildings in the city. The gate of Yin Academy is hidden in the deepest part of this steel jungle. It looks like an inconspicuous commercial building. The security guard at the door lazily scanned the QR code. Chen took a deep breath of the lingering smell in the night wind, held on to his cell phone, and stepped into the elevator. The moment the elevator door closed, his heart suddenly shrank. This was his last chance to get admitted to the Hidden Immortal Academy and get rid of that damn mortal fate. The elevator roared down, penetrated 50 meters of the ground, and reached the outer gate area of the college. When the door opened, a damp stone smell hit the face, the lights were dim, and there were dense stone doors on both sides of the long corridor. Behind each door were those so-called geniuses who cultivated immortality. Chen gritted his teeth. He was an ordinary 22-year-old, his parents died early, and he was barely able to survive by doing odd jobs. The spiritual root test only showed low-grade mortal body. He should have been brushed off, but with a bit of luck, he squeezed into the list of new members of the outer sect. In front of the reception desk, a dozen newcomers lined up were whispering, some showed off their family background, and some boasted about their spiritual root level. When it was Chen's turn, the fat clerk behind the counter glanced at him, his nose twitching as if he smelled something dirty. Name? Chen. He whispered. The clerk flipped through the roster and threw out a palm-sized bronze badge. The surface was engraved with ancient runes, and its tentacles were as cold as falling into a cold pool. The new member badge will take effect after being bound to spiritual blood. Outer disciples, remember that the rules of heaven are strict. Do not try to break through before building the foundation, otherwise the disaster will come and it will be wiped out. Go away and fend for yourself in the waste pile. Chen's fingers trembled, and the runes on the badge seemed to come alive, pulsing slightly. He gritted his teeth and dripped blood, and the blood seeped into the bronze, and suddenly a burning heat rushed into the meridians like lava. He groaned and knelt down on the ground. The air around him was distorted, and there was a faint flash of blood. Ouch, does this loser really think he is a genius? Ridicule erupted from the surroundings, and a young senior student wearing an inner robe swaggered over with his arms folded across his chest and disdain on his lips. The senior's name is Zhao Meng, Lin Fan's henchman, who is in the middle stage of foundation establishment and has been domineering in the outer sect for a long time. He looked down at Chen, his voice like a knife scraping iron. I heard that you are a low-grade mortal. Ha ha ha, are the garbage collectors at the outer gate of Yin Academy? I used to be a middle-grade spiritual root, and it took a month to build the foundation. What about you? I'm afraid you won't be able to touch the spiritual energy even after 10 years of licking. The newcomers around him snickered, and someone echoed, Senior Zhao is right, for a guy like this, his life is to shine our shoes when he enters the academy. Zhao Meng took a step forward and kicked Chen's shoulder with his toes. The leather boots were stained with the smell of earth. Get up, you loser. The badge is glowing. Why are you pretending to have awakened your bloodline and lying to ghosts? Under the rules of heaven, the mortal body will always be an ant, understand? Young Master Lin Fan's elite class is the right way to cultivate immortality. You. Go clean the toilet. Veins popped up on Chen's forehead, and the burning heat in his meridians was like thousands of ants gnawing at his bones. He forced himself to stand up, ignoring the harsh laughter around him and the oppressive feeling mixed with the smell of sweat. The badge has been completely bound, and a vague map suddenly appears in my mind, the ancient cave. The lines swim like living snakes, marking the entrance to the urban underground ruins and the abandoned subway tunnel hidden under the mountain behind the college. Immortal bloodline. Is this something that goes against the law of heaven? He lowered his head and pretended to be embarrassed, secretly activating his blood vessels to explore. The pulsation of the map intensified, the badge felt faintly hot, and the spiritual energy around him surged like a tide. The air of Yin Academy, which was already rich, was actually absorbed by him for the most part at this moment. Zhao Meng was still shouting, "What are you looking at? What's wrong with me kicking you?" Young Master Lin Fan has taken a liking to ghost cultivators, and a piece of trash like you can't even get involved. The newcomers passing by pointed, and someone whispered, I heard that Lin Fan is a genius, an elite of the inner sect, at the peak of foundation building at the age of 20, and holds the badge of heaven in his hand. Who dares to offend Yi Chen? This is the end of Yi Chen. Yi Chen sneered in his heart, but pretended to be cowed on the outside and retreated to the corner of the corridor. When no one was paying attention, he touched the badge with his fingers, and the map was completely unfolded. The cave is buried deep underground in the city, sealed by the rules of heaven, and contains a magic weapon for ghost cultivation, which can help people break through the bottleneck of foundation building. However, the entrance requires a flying sword to navigate, and only those who violate the laws of heaven can enter. Suddenly, the badge burst into dazzling light. A shadow of a 3-foot flying sword sprang out from it. The sword's body was blue, and it hummed like a dragon's roar. The tip of the sword was pointed directly at the mountain behind the academy. The surrounding air suddenly stagnated, and the spiritual pressure collapsed like a mountain. Zhao Meng was the first to bear the brunt, his face turned pale, his legs went weak, and he fell to his knees. What is this? Foundation building spiritual pressure. Impossible. How can you be a loser? The shadow of the flying sword hovered around Yi Chen, the sword energy was vertical and horizontal, cutting the air with a sharp whistle, and sword marks instantly appeared on the stone wall of the corridor. The newcomers' eyes widened, and some screamed, "Oh my God! Is that the legendary flying sword navigation? Only geniuses who violate the laws of heaven can awaken it." Zhao Meng's lips trembled and he was sweating like rain. He spoke intermittently, Yi Chen, you hid deep enough. But the rules of heaven cannot be violated. The ghost treasures in the cave are taboo, and anyone who touches them will suffer disaster. Master Lin Fan will not let you go. He got up and tried to escape, but was knocked away by the sword energy and hit the wall. Blood spurted from his mouth, and his eyes were full of fear and jealousy. Yi Chen stood up, his momentum was as strong as the abyss. After his bloodline awakened, there was a faint sound of dragon roars all over his body, and the ordinary fatigue was swept away. He glanced at Zhao Meng and said in a calm but thunderous voice, "Get out. Tell Lin Fan that I, Yi Chen, have decided to make a decision in the cave." The newcomers around took a breath, and someone murmured, He was ridiculed just now, and now the flying sword protects the body. This reversal is too terrifying. The shadow of the flying sword slowly blended into the badge, and a deep voice came straight into Yi Chen's mind as if coming from Juyo, disobey the law of heaven and enter the cave to refine ghost treasures. Yi Chen's pupils shrank and his heart beat wildly. Is this the guidance of Senior Chu Tian? The legacy left behind by the mysterious mentor in the rumors about the academy? Underground in the city, ghosts are cultivating magic weapons to break the bottleneck of heaven. He clenched his fists, the night was deep, the college bells were ringing, and no one dared to come closer. Late at night, Yi Chen sneaked out of the dormitory alone. The entrance to the abandoned subway in the back hill was hidden among the thorns. The sweet smell of underground spiritual energy could be faintly heard when the wind and grass moved. He took a deep breath and stepped into the darkness. Come on, so what if you violate the law of heaven? I want to sweep this bullshit academy. The phantom of the flying sword reappeared, its buzzing sound guiding the way forward. In the subway tunnel, a damp musty smell hit the nostrils, ancient runes flashed on the walls, and the faint sound of ghost cries echoed. Yi Chen's heartbeat was racing, but he was fearless. At this moment, he was no longer an ordinary person. But just deep in the entrance, a cold laughter sounded. Yi Chen. Want to take over the cave alone? Master Lin Fan has laid a dragnet. In the darkness, several figures sprang out. The leader was Zhao Meng, and behind him were several inner disciples holding magic weapons and auras of great power. Zhao Meng smiled evilly. You loser, do you think flying swords can defy the sky? Hand over the badge, or die. Yi Chen snorted coldly, and the flying sword shot out. The sword light was like lightning, and it instantly cut off a magic weapon. Sparks flew everywhere, and the smell of burnt food filled the air. The faces of the disciples changed drastically. This sword energy is at the peak of foundation building? Zhao Meng backed away, his voice trembling. Impossible. Your bloodline has just awakened, how come? Yi Chen stepped forward with a strong momentum, because, I, Yi Chen, am born to be rebellious. Sword shadows danced wildly, the tunnel trembled, and blood splattered. Zhao Meng screamed and ran away, Master Lin Fan, save me. But Yi Chen had already rushed into the depths. Under the navigation of the flying sword, the door of the cave loomed, full of ghosts. Just in front of the door, a female voice like ice and snow sounded, Yi Chen. Wait, Muxue, will we work together to solve the map? Yi Chen looked back, and in the darkness, a woman in a white dress stood in the sky, her beautiful eyes shining with intelligence. All around, the screams of Zhao Meng and others echoed endlessly. The rules of heaven are about to be torn apart by him. Yi Chen frowned slightly, the phantom of the flying sword buzzed and circled, the tip of the sword trembled and pointed at the huge door of the cave. The door was filled with ghostly aura, and there was a faint echo of the cry of the innocent soul. There was a sweet smell of decay coming from the cracks in the door, which made people's stomachs churn. He was wary. This woman had arrived by chance. How could a genius from the academy show up for no reason? But the screams of Zhao Meng and others were still echoing in the tunnel, and footsteps approaching in the distance. Time was running out. Join forces. Why should I trust you? He said coldly, his bloodline spiritual pressure slightly released, the air seemed to be squeezed by invisible hands, and the corners of Muxue's white skirt actually floated slightly. In the darkness, Muxue, in a fluttering white dress, stood in the sky, her slender figure lifted up by invisible cyclones under her feet. Her whole body exuded a faint scent of frost, as if the damp and musty smell in the tunnel had been frozen into frost flowers. Her beautiful eyes shone like cold stars, staring at the bronze badge in Yi Chen's hand, and her voice was as clear as a mountain spring. Yi Chen, I am Muxue, third on the inner sect genius list. Your flying sword phantom is the cave navigation, right? The rules of heaven strictly prohibit entering alone. I know some of the map runes. How about joining forces? That guy Lin Fan has set his sights on this place. If he goes in alone, he will escape death. Muxue raised her lips slightly, turned her jade hand, and a translucent jade slip appeared. The runes and the badge map inside complemented each other. This is the branch map of the cave left by Senior Chu Tian, which proves my sincerity. Lin Fan has already bribed patrols and sealed off the back mountain with his family's badge of heaven. If you don't believe it, I will leave. She moved slightly, as if she was about to leave. Yi Chen's mind was spinning, and the shadow of the flying sword suddenly shook. The map in his mind automatically matched the runes on the jade slips, and the lines extended, revealing the first outline of the ruins maze. He hummed, I'll trust you for now. Just follow me. As soon as he finished speaking, the huge door of the cave opened suddenly, a ghostly wind blew in his face, mixed with the stench of rotting flesh and blood, and black mist billowed inside the door, like a ghost opening its mouth. Just as he was talking, a spiritual light suddenly erupted at the fork in front of the road, and 3 figures sprang out. The leader was a short and fat inner disciple. He was in the early stage of foundation building. He was holding a fire cloud gun. The tip of the gun was blazing with flames and a heat wave hit his nostrils. He blocked the road with a sinister smile. Hey, isn't this the good-for-nothing Yi Chen that Zhao Meng said he was? He even brought a little girl with him. Master Lin Fan has ordered me to hand over the map of the cave, and I will spare your life. Are you wishful thinking about treasure hunting? Just a low-grade mortal like you, even I can't even pass the first level of the maze, ha ha ha. The 2 boys behind him laughed in agreement. One of them threw out the iron chain, and the will-o'-the-wisps wrapped around it made a hissing sound, the other raised an earth shield, and the smell of yellow mango filled the air, blocking the way out. The two of them flashed in, the giant doors merged, and they suddenly fell into a maze of deathly silence. The walls are mottled with moss, and there is a faint phosphorus fire jumping around. The stone bricks under your feet are covered with twisted runes, and there is a hollow echo with every step you take. The shadow of the flying sword led the way. The blue sword light cut through the black fog and illuminated the curved corridor. Muxue approached Chen and whispered, "Be careful, this is the ghost cultivation maze. The first taboo in the rules of heaven, those who refine ghost treasures will lose their souls. What Lin Fan dreams of is the ghost beads inside, which can help build the foundation and reach the golden elixir peak, but it is taboo." Muxue's pretty face changed slightly, and the light on the jade slip dimmed. "It's Lin Fan's bastard, Wang Sanpang. They have the heavenly Tao monitoring talisman and have already locked onto us." Yi Chen's eyes turned cold, and the spiritual pressure of his newly awakened blood was like a volcano erupting. The air around him was distorted, and there was a faint roar of a dragon. The short and fat Wang San was the first to bear the brunt. His face was pale, and the fire cloud spear almost lost his grip. This spiritual pressure. Peak of foundation building? Impossible. You were kicked away by Zhao Meng just now, what now? His voice trembled, and beads of sweat slid down his fat face, dripping on the gun and evaporating. The eyes of the two younger brothers around him widened, and the iron-chained disciple knelt on his knees. "Wang, brother Wang, what kind of magic is this good-for-nothing hiding?" Zhao Meng said, "He is just an ant." The Earth Shield disciple stepped back with a sharp voice, "Where is Master Lin Fan? Call for reinforcements." Yi Chen was silent, and the phantom of the flying sword shot out suddenly. The sword buzzed like thunder, and instantly passed through Wang Sanpang's fire cloud spear. There was a click, the gun body broke, fireworks flew everywhere, and the burnt smell was pungent. Wang Sanpang screamed and flew away, hitting the wall. Blood spurted from his mouth, and his eyes were full of horror. You violated your bloodline. God will not forgive you." The flying sword continued to cut through the iron chain like tofu, and the chain fragments clinked to the ground. After another turn, the earth shield collapsed, earth and rocks flew up, and dust choked his nose. The two younger brothers were stunned and crawled back. "Monster. This sword energy is too terrifying." Zhao Meng was tortured and still called him a loser. "We are finished." They turned around and fled, their footsteps panicked, causing fire and phosphorus to fly around, and the ghosts in the maze screamed loudly. Muxue's beautiful eyes flashed with splendor, and her breathing quickened. "Yi Chen, your bloodline is far beyond the peak of foundation building." Even Wang Sanpang's fire cloud spear was cut off with one sword strike. This reversal. She suppressed her shock and caught up with Yi Chen. "Hurry up, Lin Fan must have heard the noise." Yi Chen sneered, and the badge map was gradually unlocked, and the outline of the maze became clear. Countless forked roads like intestinal peristalsis. The central ghost palace loomed, but a blood-red warning flashed. "The rules of heaven, it is forbidden to practice the magic weapon of ghost cultivation, and the soul of those who touch it will be destroyed forever." He tightened his fist, and his blood was as hot as fire. "Forbidden practice? I insist on practicing. Why do those powerful ants like Lin Fan have a monopoly?" Going deeper into the maze, the air became colder and colder. The shadows of ghosts on the wall rushed toward him, claws of ice clawed at Yi Chen, and the cold wind was biting. Muxue kneaded the secrets with her hands, protected her body with a frost cyclone, and froze several ghost figures. "These are maze guards, controlled by heaven. Can your flying sword navigation be broken?" The shadow of the flying sword rotates, the sword energy is like a net, smashing the ghost shadow, and the broken soul dissipates like black mist, emitting a shrill scream. The surrounding stone walls trembled and phosphorus fire flashed wildly, as if the entire maze was roaring. The map unlocks the second level. The magic weapon of ghost cultivation is divided into 3 treasures: the netherworld ghost bead, the blood soul flag, and the Yin evil sword. Refining it can break the bottleneck, but it must violate the way of heaven and lead to the baptism of heavenly tribulation. Suddenly, a roar came from behind, Yi Chen. Seeking death. Lin Fan's voice was like thunder, accompanied by dense footsteps. At the end of the labyrinth passage, spiritual light flourished. Lin Fan took the lead, hunting in white robes. The spiritual pressure at the peak of Foundation building was like a mountain. The golden light of the heavenly Tao badge around him shone, and the air was filled with the scent of ambergris from the powerful. Behind him were a dozen snobbish classmates and elites from the inner sect, holding magic weapons in a tight formation. Master Lin Fan is here. This good-for-nothing is dead. A horse-faced classmate grinned ferociously, raised his wind blade, and screamed with sword energy. Lin Fan stared at Yi Chen's badge with sinister eyes. Boy, Zhao Meng and Wang Sanfa fell into your hands. Yes, but the cave is mine. Under the rules of heaven, your rebellious bloodline is just a flash in the pan. Hand over the map, kneel down and lick your shoes, maybe your life will be spared. He pointed a finger, and the heavenly badge exploded into a golden net, blocking the passage. Thunder arcs jumped on the net, and the smell of burnt thunder hit his nostrils. The students around him burst into laughter. Young Master Lin is right, is this Yi Chen's wishful thinking, searching for ghost treasures? The end result is that he will be left in despair. Muxue's pretty face was pale, and she pulled Yi Chen's sleeve. Lin Fan has a Tiandao badge and can call for patrols. We are surrounded. Yi Chen's heart was beating wildly, his blood spiritual pressure was suppressed by the golden net, his meridians felt like needles pricking him, and he was surrounded by dangers. Lin Fan was approaching step by step, and the wind blade of his horse-faced classmate was already slashing at him, and the wind cut his face painfully. The eyes of the students around him were full of greed and ridicule. Look at his face, are you scared to death? He was so awesome just now, but now he's turned into an ant. You want to seize my map? You're dreaming. Yi Chen gritted his teeth and pushed the limit of his blood. The shadow of the flying sword suddenly rose 3 feet. The sword's body was dazzling with blue light, and it buzzed like 10,000 swords roaring in unison. The badge map flashed, and navigation acceleration was temporarily unlocked. The shadow of the sword wrapped around Yi Chen and Muxue, their speed increased tenfold, turning into a blue light, breaking through the corner of the golden net. The thunder arc exploded, the lightning was everywhere, and the smell of burnt air filled the air. What? This speed? Feijian navigation has been upgraded. Lin Fan's face changed drastically, his pupils shrank into needles, the Tiandao badge trembled, and the golden net collapsed. He stretched out his hand to grab the air and said in a sharp voice, impossible. How can the peak of Foundation establishment block the navigation acceleration? Brothers, chase. The horse-faced classmate's eyes widened, the wind blade slashed into the air, and he staggered back. Young Master Lin, this Yi Chen, he was out of breath just now, and now he is running faster than a rabbit. It's so weird. Other students exclaimed repeatedly, and someone stumbled to the ground. Oh my God, the remnants of his sword energy are still cutting into my robe, this loser is hidden too deep. Muxue clung to Yi Chen, feeling the shadow of the sword flying at high speed, the wind howling like thunder in her ears, and admiration flashed in her beautiful eyes. Yi Chen, your bloodline, can even break Lin Fan's heavenly network. The Academy has never seen such a disobedient. The blue light rushes wildly in the maze, avoiding the traps and traps. The ghosts are thrown into the air, and the phosphorus fire cannot catch up with them. Yi Chen's forehead was dripping with cold sweat, his blood vessels were overloaded, and his meridians were in pain from tearing, but he kept sneering. Lin Fan, have you ridiculed enough of those bastards? I want you to know that powerful people are just ants under the law of heaven. Deep in the ruins, a ghost palace looms, and an old figure slowly emerges from the black mist. The sword spirit around him reaches the sky, and his long beard flutters. It is none other than Senior Chu Tian. He held a physical flying sword in his hand. The sword body was as cold iron, and the light was flickering. He stared at Yi Chen who was rushing towards him, and his voice was like a bell going straight into his mind. Boy, do you dare to violate the way of heaven? Yi Chen's sword shadow froze, and Muxue took a breath of cold air. Lin Fan's roar was faintly approaching from behind. Senior Chu Tian. The legendary sword immortal soul. In front of the ghost palace, black mist billows like ink, phosphorus fire dances wildly on the stone walls, and ghosts cry and moan. The air is filled with a strong smell of blood and decay, making people feel sick in their throats. The long beard of Chu Tian's remnant soul fluttered, and the old figure loomed in the sky with sword intent. He stared at the physical flying sword in Yi Chen's hand, and the sound was like the clash of gold and iron, which went straight into his eardrums. Boy, if you dare to violate the way of heaven, you must use a sword that goes against the way of heaven. This, green underworld sword was the sword that I, the Chu Tian sword immortal, wore during my lifetime. It has the secret technique of remote control navigation and can be penetrated by merging blood. If you activate your mind, the sword can move at will, breaking the restrictions of the ruins. In front of the gate of the ghost palace, dangers abound. Heavenly thunderclouds have gathered over the maze, making a deafening roar. Yi Chen clenched his fists and his blood boiled. Senior, you dare. Not only do I dare, I also want to refine all the ghost treasures and sweep across the academy. Chu Tian laughed, and the flying sword was thrown solidly. The hilt of the sword was cold to the bones. Suddenly, the blood and the sword merged into one, and the spiritual pressure surged. From behind, Lin Fan led his men to kill him. His face was livid. Chu Tian. Are you helping this loser? God will not tolerate it. A wild war that goes against the will of heaven is about to break out. At the entrance to the rear passage, Lin Fan, wearing a white robe, arrived with more than a dozen elites from the inner sect. The leader, the horse-faced classmate, swung out his wind blade, and the sword energy roared and cut through the black mist. Their footsteps shook the stone bricks to pieces, spiritual pressure surged in like a tide, and the scent of ambergris from the powerful, mixed with the smell of burnt magical weapons like gunpowder, hit his nostrils. Lin Fan's eyes were as sinister as a poisonous snake, staring at the green underworld sword in Yi Chen's hand. His face was livid and twisted. Chu Tian's remnant. Are you an old ghost helping the outer sect? The rules of heaven cannot be violated. Brothers, come on. This kid just got the sword, but his bloodline is not stable yet. We can crush him with a combined attack. The map and ghost treasures are all ours. Yi Chen took hold of the hilt of the sword, and the cold sword energy penetrated the meridians like thousands of needles. The blood boiled instantly, the spiritual pressure doubled, the air around him twisted into a vortex, and there was a faint roar of dragons. Muxue's pretty face turned pale, her beautiful eyes widened, and she breathed quickly. Senior Chu Tian's Qingming sword. It is said to be an immortal weapon that can cut mountains and rivers with one sword. Yi Chen, your blood can be fused in an instant. What a monster talent. Her jade hands trembled slightly, and the frosty breath on her white skirt was crushed into powder by the sword's will, floating like snow. The surrounding elite disciples laughed loudly, and a tall and thin disciple of the Dharma protector raised a thunder whip. The shadow of the whip danced like a silver snake, the sound of electric arc explosion was deafening, and the smell of burnt thunder was pungent. Young Master Lin is right. Yi Chen, you are a low-grade insect outside the outer sect. You were kicked away by Zhao Meng just now hug Chu. What a crazy idea. Watch my thunder whip smash your dog's head. Another fat disciple swung the bloody net, and the bloody wind hit his face. You loser, kneel down and lick Mr. Lin's soles. Those little tricks of yours are like ants crawling in front of our inner sect elites. Lin Fan approached with a ferocious smile, the golden light of the heavenly Tao emblem flourished, the golden net compounded, and thunder arcs poured out like rain, blasting towards Yi Chen. You useless piece of wood, the speed of navigation just now counts your luck, so what if you have the Chu Tian sword in your hand now? I am a powerful man in the heavenly Tao family, crushing you to death is like stepping on an ant. The tall and thin protector took the lead in whipping out the thunder whip, and the whip wind cut his face. It hurt, the lightning reflected Yi Chen's pale face, and the disciples' eyes were full of greed and ridicule. Look at his weak legs. Mr. Lin, give him some time to watch us grab the ghost treasure. Fat Dun's blood net opened, and the smell of blood was so strong that it made people sick. Horse-faced wind blades flanked him, and the sword energy cut the stone wall with hiss, and gravel flew. Yi Chen tried his mind for the first time, and the Qingming sword buzzed, but because of his unfamiliar blood, the sword only trembled slightly. The remote navigation secret technique was almost activated, and the map in his mind flashed the outline of the third layer of the maze. However, the spiritual pressure was suppressed by the remnants of Lin Fan's heavenly Tao golden network, and his meridians burned like fire. His knees weakened and he almost fell to his knees. Muxue whispered, "Yi Chen, be careful." She retreated, protected by the frost cyclone, and disappeared into a corner of the black mist, watching the battle secretly, her heart beating wildly. This man has blood that defies heaven, and even Chu Tian agrees that if we work together, we can achieve a ghost treasure. The soul of Chu Tian snorted coldly, "Boy, haste makes waste, break the restriction of the ghost palace first, and prove your disobedience." The Qingming sword suddenly trembled on its own, and the remote control secret heart seal poured into Yi Chen's mind. The will follows the sword, and the blood is the matchmaker. Yi Chen gritted his teeth and activated his bloodline to the limit. The blade of the sword suddenly expanded by 10 feet. The blue sword light erupted like a tornado, and the buzzing sound was like thousands of swords playing in unison. It cut a corner of the golden net, thunder arcs exploded, and the smell of burning filled the passage. But Lin Fan's combined attack had arrived, and the thunder whip hit Yi Chen's shoulder, and the lightning flashed into his meridians. The pain was like thousands of ants biting his bones. He groaned and almost lost control of his sword shadow. The disciples around him laughed wildly. Is the electricity burnt? You are still trying to show off." The tall and thin guardian smiled proudly, "Young Master Lin, I will snatch this sword." He stretched out his hand to grab it, and the thunder whip wrapped around the hilt. At this moment, black mist surged in front of the ghost palace, and the trial of the rules of heaven suddenly came. A curtain of blood-red light rose, the phantom array unfolded, countless ghost figures jumped out from the stone wall, claws of ice clawed at everyone, the cold wind bit the bones, and the screams of the innocent souls were like needles piercing the mind. Phosphorus fire flashed wildly, the maze trembled, and the stench of decay was so strong that the disciples retched. Trial of Heaven's Way. Ghost Array. This is the first taboo for guarding the ghost palace. Lin Fan's expression changed slightly, but his powerful aura remained unabated. What are you afraid of? There are so many of us, we will run over you. Yi Chen, you will definitely die, we can't even break the array. The ghost leader emerged, 3 feet tall, hunting in black robes, his eyes were as bright as lights, his claws clawed at Yi Chen's heart, Yin Qi froze the air, and ice crackled. Yi Chen's blood is burning, and the map in his mind reverses the formation runes. The Qingming sword controls the movement of his mind, and the sword body turns into 10 phantoms, cutting ghost shadows like cutting paper, the soul-shattering black mist dissipates, and the screams make the eardrums buzz. The tall and thin protector widened his eyes and swung his thunder whip away. Is this sword a remote control? 10 shadows in one thought. Impossible. Just now, he was shocked to the point where his legs were weak by me. Yi Chen's sword intense sword, and his bloodline's spiritual pressure exceeded the peak of foundation building. He pushed back the formation, and the green underworld sword pierced the ghost leader's brow. The sword energy exploded, the leader howled and disintegrated, and a dark fragment fell, the first ghost cultivator fragment, the blood soul flag fragment. After taking the fragments, the ghost energy entered the body, and the blood was like fire, but it was instantly refined, the spiritual pressure increased by another level, and the sword energy around the body was like a tide, cutting the black mist into a vacuum zone. Lin Fan's pupils shrank into needles. Ghost cultivator fragment. How dare you refine it? Heaven will punish you. He roared and attacked together, and more than a dozen elite magical weapons came out: Thunder Whip, Blood Net, Wind Blade, Fireball, Earth Wall, auras intertwined into a network, roaring like a thunderstorm, heat waves, bloody earth, and the smell of burnt earth mixed together, covering the sky and the earth. The tall and thin guardian laughed wildly. "Young Master Lin, kill him." Fatty's blood net was the first to cover him. "You loser, your soul is gone." In the desperate situation of suppressing the desire to advance, Chen sneered at the corner of his mouth, and fully activated the power of his blood. After refining the fragments, he controlled the Qingming sword to the extreme. The sword body soared 10 feet, turning into a blue dragon sword light, buzzing like thunder rolling from the sky. "A powerful ant, can you stand up to me?" A sword swept out. The sword energy was like a tsunami, cutting the thunder whip into iron filings, arcs flying everywhere, the blood web shattered like paper, and the blood droplets evaporated into red mist. The wind blade, earth wall, and fireball all collapsed. The explosion shook the sky and the earth, the rubble and smoke filled the nose, and the passage wall cracked like a spider web. Lin Fan's face was as pale as paper, his heavenly Tao badge was trembling, and the golden light was dim. He offered up a protective jade token to block the aftermath of the sword energy. The jade token cracked into pieces and blood bleeded from the corner of his mouth. "Impossible. You loser from the outer world, how dare you severely injure my protector with a sword?" He took a few steps back, his aristocratic arrogance disappeared, and for the first time, fear flashed in his eyes. The defeated disciples around him were in disarray, and some crawled to the ground to beg for mercy. "Brother Yi, please forgive me. We are blind, and we followed Lin Fan by mistake. From now on, we will hang out with you." The tall and thin protector coughed up blood and crawled on his knees. "It's Mr. Yi, we were wrong. Lin Fan is a powerful person, you are the real dragon." The tall and thin guardian bore the brunt of the impact. The thunder whip broke and backfired. He spurted blood and flew backwards, hitting the stone wall with a crisp sound of cracking bones. His eyes were full of horror. "This, a sword sweep. My thunder whip in the late stage of foundation building, broke. Mr. Lin, save me." The master of Fat Dun's blood network knelt down with weak legs and a fat face. "By shivering, monsters. They were suppressed by us just now, but now the sword energy is like immortals. We are the elites of the inner sect." Classmate Ma Lian's wind blade was completely destroyed. He staggered back, and his voice was sharp. "Young Master Lin, this Yi Chen's bloodline is against the sky, and he even broke the heavenly Tao test. We are no match." Yi Chen pointed his sword at Lin Fan and sneered and scorned. "Lin Fan, have you had enough of your dog-legged ridicule? The rules of heaven. I have violated it. Go back to the academy and lick the soles of your family's shoes. The powerful people in heaven and earth are just ants under my sword." The Qingming sword shook, and Lin Fan couldn't breathe under the pressure of the sword. He led the remaining soldiers and fled in embarrassment. His footsteps panicked, causing fire and phosphorus to fly everywhere, and his roar echoed, "Yi Chen, this revenge must be avenged. In the academy competition, I will make your life worse than death." In front of the ghost palace, the dust settled, and the defeated disciple prostrated on the ground, with adoration in his eyes. "Young Master Yi is invincible. Sweeping through the elite of the inner sect with one sword, such a contrast in status, from useless to a swordsman." The soul of Chu Tian laughed. "That's right, boy. In the ghost palace, the ghost beads are waiting for you. Continue to disobey." Yi Chen's spiritual pressure was like a mountain, his blood was boiling, and his invincible posture was revealed. The whole audience was shocked, and the ghosts in the maze cried as if they were surrendering. Muxue's words were as clear as ice springs, but with a hint of trembling. Her beautiful eyes shone like stars under the phosphorus fire, staring at the blue sword light of the Qingming sword in Yi Chen's hand. Her jade hand reached out involuntarily and touched the scorch mark of the thunder whip on his shoulder. The defeated disciples around him were still lying on the ground, their coughs mixed with the smell of blood, and admiring gazes came like a flood. Someone murmured in a low voice, young Master Yi and Muxue genius have joined forces. Who can stop this combination from the inner sect? The tall and thin guardian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The fear in his eyes was not gone, but he did not dare to look directly. The fat classmate climbed up on weak legs and murmured, "Monsters are matched with ice fairies. We rich and powerful children, are really ants." Yi Chen's sword energy converged, and his bloodline's spiritual pressure was as high as the top of a mountain. He glanced at Muxue and smiled coldly and arrogantly, "Interpret the map. Come on, I am bound to get the Netherworld Ghost Pearl in the Ghost Palace." With a thought in his mind, the bronze badge was as hot as a soldering iron, and the outline of the map in his mind expanded. Blood-red runes faintly appeared in the depths of the third floor of the maze, and the decaying yin qi hit his face, making him frown slightly. Muxue nodded and took out the jade slip. The air of frost filled the air as the white skirt fluttered. The light from her fingertips was injected into the badge. The two treasures buzzed and resonated. A low dragon roar sounded in the air. The map unfolded like a living thing, countless branched tunnels winding, with a dark pearl shadow pulsing at the core. 3 blood chains were wrapped around it, ghost-absorbing, melting treasure, and heaven-defying tribulation. Muxue's pretty face turned pale, her beautiful eyes widened, and she breathed quickly, "This, the method of refining the ghost cultivator magic weapon. The fragments of the blood soul flag are just the introduction, and the core of the ghost bead can make the foundation bottleneck go straight to the golden elixir, but it must violate the 3 rules of heaven. First, absorb ghosts, devour all ghosts in the ruins, reverse the cycle of yin and yang. Second, melt the yin treasure, melt refining the inner elixir of the machine beast to destroy the balance of heaven. Third, the heaven-defying catastrophe, leading to immortality and counterattacking the golden net of heaven. Yi Chen, there is no mention of such taboos, the forbidden scrolls of the academy, you dare to try." Her voice trembled, the frost cyclone tightened unconsciously, admiration and worry flashed in her eyes, and her jade hands clenched his arms, sending chills. The ghost of Chu Tian laughed in the sword, and the sound was like the roar of gold and iron, which shook the eardrums. "Haha, little girl knows better. Boy, this is the price of disobedience. The core of the ghost palace is full of mechanisms, the beasts are ferocious, and there are yin treasures and inner elixirs inside, but the way of heaven is watching, one wrong step, and there will be no recovery." Yi Chen's blood boiled, and the hilt of the sword became even colder. He smiled contemptuously, "The way of heaven? I follow the rules of the sword. Let's go." The Qingming sword buzzed, the remote control navigation was perfect, the shadow of the sword led the way, and the black fog automatically opened. The two stepped into the ghost palace, the door clicked shut, and the phosphorus fire was mostly extinguished. At the same time, in the outer layer of the maze, Lin Fan crawled out of the tunnel in embarrassment. The blood on the corner of his mouth was still wet, and his white robe was charred and tattered. He was panting. The powerful man's face was twisted like a ghost, and his eyes were filled with hatred. "Damn Yi Chen. Sweep me with one sword. The elite protector, the loser from the outer sect, has a bloodline against the heavens." He threw out the communication jade talisman, the golden light flashed, and he contacted the academy instructor with a sinister voice, "Teacher Zhang. Urgent. Yi Chen stole the bronze badge and colluded with Muxue. He broke into the ghost palace and violated the laws of heaven to absorb ghosts. He has obtained the fragments of the blood soul flag, and his spiritual pressure has skyrocketed. Several of my inner disciples have been severely injured. We must send the law enforcement hall to suppress him quickly, otherwise the ghost treasure will fall into his hands and the rules of the heavenly laws of the academy will be destroyed." Fu Chuanin, at the hidden immortal peak of the distant academy, Instructor Zhang's old face was livid, and he stroking his beard and roared, "Lin Fan family is a powerful person, the news is trustworthy. Call the Jindan law enforcement, blockade the back mountain. Yi Chen, this bug, dares to steal treasures. Heavenly tribulation is coming." Deep in the ghost palace, the air became thicker and thicker, ghost faces floated up and down on the stone walls, chirping low, and bloody and rotten air surged in like a tide. The map navigation in Yi Chen's mind accelerated, and the phantom of the green underworld sword flickered, illuminating the nest ahead. Thousands of bones were piled up, and 3 machine beasts were entrenched in the center, 5 feet high, with dense iron scales, eyes as red as blood lamps, minions as sharp as swords. The yin energy in the body was churning, and the pulse of the inner alchemy was looming. Muxue gasped, her beautiful eyes trembling. 3-headed yin beasts. The pinnacle mechanism of foundation building, guarding the yin treasure inner elixir, claws that are highly poisonous, and the yin wind can freeze the spiritual pressure. How do we break it? Her frost cyclone body protection was crushed by the beast's breath. She was biting by the cold, her pretty face was pale, and her jade legs were trembling slightly. Yi Chen, retreat first, Lin Fan has escaped, and the academy is bound to catch up. The roar of the machine beast shook the stone wall, the dust rustled, and the cracking of rotten bones made a crisp sound. The first iron-scaled beast pounced, its claws like a mountain pressing against the top. The cold wind froze the air, the crackle of ice, the poisonous mist assailed the nose, and the pungent stench made Muxue retching. Yi Chen's spiritual pressure was suppressed, his blood was like a fire, his knees sank and he almost fell to the ground. The Qingming sword's remote control thoughts started to move, but due to the restriction of the ghost palace, the sword body only trembled half an inch, and the navigation fog was heavy. Damn, the remaining pressure of the heavenly Tao golden network. The second beast flanked him, and its tail whip swept like a hammer. The wind pressure cut the face and hurt. Muxue whispered, Yi Chen. She used the ice and snow magic, and the frost arrows shot out like rain. Ding ding hit the animal scales, only sparks were wiped out, and the shock caused her mouth to bleed and her breath was weak. My ice magic foundation building peak can't break through the defense. We are finished. There was a strong wind in the lair, and the 3 beasts struck together like a heavenly and earthly net. The shadows of their claws, fire, and tails intertwined with each other, and they roared like a thunderstorm. The stone walls cracked, and broken bones flew and choked their noses. Muxue backed away, her beautiful eyes desperate. Yi Chen, your sword's remote control is blocked by a restriction. No matter how strong your bloodline is, it can't stop it. The rules of heaven cannot be violated. Yi Chen's meridians were like thousands of needles pricking, and his bloodline's spiritual pressure was about to collapse. He gritted his teeth and sneered, the rules of the powerful. I'm broken. In the desperate situation, Chu Tian Yihan shouted, boy, the heart seal is at its limit. The bloodline is pushing back the restriction. The Qingming sword suddenly surged on its own, and the sword's intention was like a blue dragon awakening, the sky thundering, the remote control navigation tearing open the fog, pointing directly at the weakness of the beast's eye. Muxue's beautiful eyes widened and her breathing stopped. The sword's intention is autonomous. Breaking the ban with just one thought. Yi Chen's blood was fully activated, and the sword turned into hundreds of phantoms, cutting through the dark wind like cutting paper, splattering ice and poison mist, and evaporating. The first beast's claw shadow was pierced by the sword shadow, its iron scales exploded, blood and oil sprayed, and the stench rose to the sky. It fell to the ground with a howl, and its inner elixir rolled down, a dark treasure inner elixir, with ghostly energy pulsing. With the assistance of Muxue's ice and snow skills, the frost wall blocked the second beast's tail whip, and it shattered. Her pretty face flushed, and she shouted excitedly, Yi Chen, your flying sword navigation, predict the beast's movement, and I'll hit it. She pointed her jade finger, and the ice spear pierced the second beast's wound, freezing the blood, assisting the sword's shadow to sweep across. The beast's body was broken into 2 parts, and the inner elixir fell again, and the rotten air filled the air. In the corner of the black mist, Muxue appeared invisible, her white skirt fluttering, her beautiful eyes sparkling, with curiosity and admiration in her heart. She moved lightly on her lotus steps, approached Yi Chen, and whispered, Yi Chen, your flying sword remote control, the secret of the map, I can help you decipher it. The third beast was furious, the dark fire and green flames were like a tsunami, the heat wave burned the skin, and the ice whirlpool that protected Muxue's body collapsed. She flew back in surprise, too strong. Yi Chen's sword energy surged 10 feet into the sky, and he followed the sword and pierced the beast's mouth. After acquiring 3 Yin Bao inner elixirs, ghost energy entered his body, Yi Chen's bloodline erupted like a volcano, and his spiritual pressure surged wildly. Yi Chen sneered, initially refining the 3 inner elixirs. The ghost energy traveled along the meridians, the foundation building bottleneck cracked and shattered, the cultivation level went straight to the middle stage of foundation building, the sword energy around him was like a tide, cutting the stone wall into a vacuum. Muxue whispered, "Breakthrough. Against the way of heaven, no calamity will come back." Before he finished speaking, thunderclouds rolled outside the sky, and blood-red calamity light penetrated the maze, making the air solidify. The golden net reappeared, roaring like thousands of thunders in unison, and the smell of burnt thunder was pungent. The soul of Chu Tian shouted urgently, "The first calamity is coming. If you violate the rules of absorbing ghosts, you will be punished by heaven. Boy, prepare to disobey." Muxue rushed forward, supported him with her jade hands, her beautiful eyes were gleaming, and her voice was trembling in admiration. "Yi Chen, you defeat 3 beasts with 1 sword. Inner sect geniuses can't do it, but my ice skills can keep up with your sword speed. This bloodline is simply evil." She breathed rapidly, her white dress was tight against her body, her frost breath melted into water vapor, and her eyes were full of admiration. The remaining ghost figures around him surrendered and murmured like they were kowtowing. The defeated beast disciples looked from a distance and witnessed through the cracks. Their faces were pale and trembling. "Yi Shaoyan Muxue, is the beast's nest full of traps? All of us inner sect protectors have to kneel down." The calamity cloud rolled like a sea of blood, weighing down so that the stone roof of the lair cracked and shattered. Dust mixed with the smell of burnt thunder assaulted his nostrils. The air solidified into lead, pressing on Yi Chen's shoulders like a heavy hammer. His bloodline's spiritual pressure actually made a subtle cracking sound. His knees sank, the green underworld sword buzzed and trembled, and the remote control navigation image was distorted and blurred. Muxue's pretty face was as white as paper, her beautiful eyes were round and full of fear, her jade hands clenched onto Yi Chen's arms, the frosty breath on her fingertips broke out of control and shattered into mist, her voice trembled like a candle in the wind. "Yi Chen. The golden net of heaven has reappeared, and the rules of absorbing ghosts in the first calamity have been triggered. This blood-red calamity light, recorded in the inner access control volume, was built. Brother Ji's soul will be shattered upon touching it. No matter how strong your sword intent is, you can't stop the heavenly tribulation reincarnation lock." In the surrounding piles of bones, the ghosts wailed, as if they were laughing at the ants' defiant ambitions. The howling wind blew up the rotten stench and penetrated her nose, making her retching, and the edges of the ice skirt cracked with frost. Yi Chen's meridians were like burning needles, and his blood was boiling but was half suppressed by the golden net. Veins popped up on his forehead. He gritted his teeth and snorted coldly, his eyes exploding like swords. "The rules of heaven? The rules are under my feet." He just finished speaking. The first blood tribulation thunder was like a giant python swooping down, the roar was deafening, the thunder whipped the air and exploded with a burnt smell, directly hitting his heavenly spirit. Muxue screamed, "No!" Her ice and snow skills exploded crazily, and the frost wall rose like a mountain. Ding-dong. There were continuous cracking sounds, and ice shards splashed and pricked her skin. The shock caused her to spit out a mouthful of blood. Her pretty face turned pale and she fell back, with despair in her eyes. "My foundation building peak ice technique can't even buffer it. Heaven's law cannot be violated. We are finished." The soul of Chu Tian roared in the sword, and his voice was like gold and iron rubbing against each other. "Boy, if you want to suck ghosts, break the reincarnation lock first. The limit of the heart seal, the sword navigation locks on the source of hundreds of ghosts deep in the lair, and swallows its essence to reverse." Yi Chen's bloodline was reversed, and the Qingming sword surged on its own. The faint blue light on the sword body tore a gap in the golden net, the remote control navigation accelerated to the extreme, and the blood-red runes on the map in his mind flickered. The ghost's lair was only 100 meters away, thousands of ghosts entrenched in the black abyss, and the soul fire pulsed like a heart. As soon as he thought, the shadow of the sword led the way, the black mist tore automatically, and there was a crisp sound of cracking rotten bones. The two of them staggered forward, and the second thunderstorm swept across. The wind pressure cut their faces and hurt. Muxue's legs trembled slightly, and she grabbed his sleeves. Yi Chen, retreat. Lin Fan has notified the academy. Jin Dan, the law enforcement has arrived. We have defied the spirit and will be doomed. Her breathing was rapid, her frosty breath melted into water vapor, her white dress was wet, her eyes flashed with admiration and reluctance, and her voice was choked with sobs. I, Muxue, would rather die than leave, but no matter how evil your blood is, don't show off. Deep in the lair, the black abyss is like a bottomless mouth, the sinister wind is like 10,000 ghosts crying together, the brain is stabbing like needles, the stench is so strong that the air is thick, and the vision is blurred into green mist. The lair of hundreds of ghosts suddenly appears, thousands of ghosts are hovering, the soul body is twisted like a withered vine, the green eyes are full of bloody teeth, the soul fire is burning, and the heat wave mixed with the smell of sulfur burns the skin. The first wave of ghosts rushed towards him, his soul claws gripping his heart like an iron hook, and his soul sound gnawing at his mind like thousands of insects. Yi Chen's spiritual pressure was suppressed, and the sword's remote control only trembled for half an inch at the first movement. His knees sank to his knees again, and he groaned, bloodshot eyes overflowing from the corners of his mouth. Damn it, reincarnation locks the blood. Muxue's beautiful eyes were filled with despair, and ice arrows shot out like rain, scattering several ghosts. The soul smoke filled her nose, and the shock made her mouth split open. Yi Chen, my ice technique freezes the soul to pieces. The ultimate attack of the 100 Ghosts Foundation building, and the protection of heaven, how can we ants dare to resist? The crowd of ghosts surrounded like a black cloud, the soul claws tore through the air, the green flames of soul fire spewed out heat waves, and the ice whirlpool that protected Muxue's body collapsed. She screamed and flew into the stone wall with a painful crack, her pretty face twisted. It's over, the soul sound entered the brain, and the soul wanted to disperse. Yi Chen's blood was burning, and the sound of cracking meridians was looming. In the desperate situation, Chu Tian the remnant soul yelled, "Boy, your bloodline is full. The sword's intention is to absorb souls, reversing the first rule." The green dragon of the Qingming sword awakened, thunder roared, the remote control navigation tore open the reincarnation lock, the sword turned into thousands of shadows and cut the black mist, followed the sword's will, and pierced the core of the Ghost King, a 1,000-foot-long soul entrenched at the bottom of the abyss, with a blood-red soul crown, the source of all ghosts. Muxue's beautiful eyes widened, her breathing stopped, and her jade hands covered her mouth and trembled. This 1,000 shadows of sword intent. Lock the Ghost King's weakness with one thought and predict the attack of hundreds of ghosts. Yi Chen's sword energy surged, and a 10-foot-long blue dragon light rushed out, cutting the soul claws like cutting paper. The green flames shattered the ice, and the soul smoke evaporated. Muxue shouted excitedly, assisting with ice and snow skills, freezing the remaining ghosts with her frost spear. Yi Chen, your flying sword navigation is amazing. My ice skills can keep up with the speed of the 1,000 Shadows sword, and the last sword absorbs souls. She connected her jade fingers, and the glacier poured down, freezing the blood of the ghosts, assisting the sword shadow to sweep across. The soul body broke with a crisp sound, the soul essence rushed into Yi Chen, and the ghost cry turned into a low cry of submission. The Ghost King was furious, the soul crown exploded, blood light was like a tsunami, the sound of the soul shook the stone wall and cracked, the gravel splashed and hurt the skin. Muxue's ice skirt shattered, and the chill retreated. The Ghost King's soul is burning to the sky. Yi Chen sneered, the sword light burst the Ghost King's core, the soul essence was absorbed, the bloodline erupted like a volcano, the cultivation level went straight to the late stage of foundation building, the spiritual pressure cut the nest into a vacuum, and the ghost energy around him swirled like a dragon. Muxue rushed forward, her beautiful eyes shining brightly, her voice trembling in admiration. "Yi Chen, you can swallow 100 ghosts without disaster. The soul-absorbing rule that the genius of the inner sect dreams of, you reversed it with one sword, and my frost assistance is even more powerful. This combination is invincible." She breathed quickly, and her jade hands held his shoulders, the ice and heat blended, her eyes were full of admiration, and she held on tightly. "From now on, I, Muxue, swear to follow you to disobey the laws of heaven." The soul of Chu Tian laughed loudly, and the thunder of gold and iron was deafening. "Good boy. The first rule is broken, the prototype of the ghost treasure appears. Based on the inner elixir of the 3 Yin treasures, the soul essence fuses with the fragments of the blood soul flag to refine the embryo of the ghost bead of the netherworld. Yi Chen crossed his knees, guided by his thoughts. The ghost energy of the 3 inner elixirs traveled along the meridians, the fragments of the blood soul flag buzzed, the dark pearl shadow condensed in the palm of his hand, pulsing like the heart, the Yin power surged by 100 feet. Muxue gasped and her beautiful eyes widened. The prototype of a ghost treasure. In the late stage of foundation building, the spiritual pressure has surpassed the top of the inner sect. This forbidden refining. How can there be no disaster in the way of heaven? Before she finished speaking, the clouds of the second disaster gathered in the sky, and the purple-black thunder net became denser, causing the air to burst and burn with a strong smell. Yi Chen stood up and smiled coldly. "Let's go back to the residence to refine." The Qingming sword navigation tore open the maze, the black mist dissipated, and the two rushed out of the ghost palace. The dark wind in the tunnel weakened, and the rotten smell faded away. In the blink of an eye, it was late at night in the outer gate of the Hidden Immortal Academy. Yi Chen's cave is simple and the stone room is cold. The flickering candlelight reflects his handsome face and sword-shaped eyebrows. Muxue's white dress is messy and his beautiful eyes are reluctant to leave. "Yi Chen, Lin Fan's power is overwhelming. The Academy's golden elixir will pursue you. Your residence is exposed. Avoid it first." He scorned, smiling. "You powerful ant, I have just established my power." As he was refining the prototype of the ghost treasure, there was a murderous atmosphere outside the window, and 3 black shadows flashed in the late night wind. The assassin was masked, the spiritual pressure in the middle stage of foundation building was sinister, the dagger was flashing with poisonous green light, and the smell was pungent. The first assassin rushed in, the shadow of the dagger was like a snake eating his heart, and the wind cut his face. Yi Chen's spiritual pressure was half suppressed by the night attack. When the remote control of the sword was first activated, Muxue whispered, "Lin Fan bribed the secret killer." 3 heads attacked together. The second assassin's flank fireballs blasted, the heat wave burned the skin, the third soul skill, the dark wind, froze the stone chamber, the sound of ice crackled, her ice protection body shattered, and her pretty face turned pale. "Yi Chen, be careful." The leader of the assassins smiled sinisterly, his voice hoarse as a ghost. "You are useless, Yi Chen, the powerful Lin Shaoling, I will give you the ghost treasure, spare your life." Yi Chen's bloodline surged, thousands of shadows cut through the night, the soul fire shattered, the first assassin killed people, the smell of blood rose to the sky, he fell to the ground with a miserable cry. "This sword intention, impossible." Muxue's beautiful eyes flashed with excitement, and the ice spear froze the second assassin's fireball, which exploded. "Yi Chen, with the blessing of your ghost treasure prototype, the sword speed is faster." The third assassin's soul wind backfired on himself, and he screamed in fear, "Monster! Lin Fan said you built in the early stage of foundation, how can it soar in the later stage?" Yi Chen's sword flashed like a dragon, sweeping across 3 people. There was a crisp sound of soul disintegration, and the intelligence talisman rolled down. He thought about it, the whole picture of Lin Fan's intelligence network, dozens of killers in the outer secret hall, and the tacit approval of Instructor Zhang of the academy. He sneered, crushing the remaining soul of the Jade Talisman with his bloodline spiritual pressure, and forcibly subdued him. Lin Fan, the intelligence network belongs to me. Muxue pounced on him, wrapped her jade hands around his waist, and whispered adoringly, killing the assassins in the middle stage of Foundation establishment is like slaughtering chickens to establish the prototype of a force. Yi Chen, you despise the powerful, no one in the college dares to do it from now on. Outside the stone room, the academy square was brightly lit. Lin Fan was wearing a new white robe, and the dignitary had a sinister look on his face. He shouted an open challenge, and his voice spread like thunder throughout the entire academy. Good for nothing Yi Chen. Steal treasures and disobey, the academy competition will show you the real rules. Lin Fan, the genius of the inner sect, is waiting for you to kneel down. The disciples in the audience stole, and Muxue's beautiful eyes flashed with murderous intent. Lin Fan Gong, the provocation is coming, the second calamity cloud has gathered, and the golden elixir law enforcement force is approaching. Yi Chen, a bigger storm is coming. Yi Chen holds the sword and laughs, the prototype of the ghost treasure is pulsating, and the sword energy is rising. Competition. I am sweeping. The second calamity of heaven, the rules of the Yin fusion treasure, come on. The purple calamity cloud is overwhelming, the thunder is roaring, and the academy is full of murderous intent. The candlelight in the stone room swayed, reflecting Yi Chen's handsome face with sword-like eyebrows carved like a knife. The embryo of the netherworld ghost bead pulsed in his palm. The black light breathed out the sinister wind, mixed with the rotten smell of sulfur. The frost condensed on the stone wall cracked and shattered. Muxue's white dress was moist and close to her body. The frost breath melted into water droplets and slid down her jade legs. Her beautiful eyes stared at Yi Chen with attachment, and her jade hands caressed Yi Chen. With his arms, his voice was soft and trembling. Yi Chen, you have just killed the assassin, and the intelligence network has been put into your pocket. The complete information of the 10 assassins in the outer secret hall. Instructor Zhang acquiesced to Lin Fan. This rudiment of power is enough to sweep through the competition. But in the second calamity, the purple and black thunder net is overwhelming, the air is as heavy as lead, and the thunder is rolling faintly. Do you really want to be in seclusion tonight to refine treasures? Yi Chen smiled coldly and arrogantly, his bloodline spiritual pressure surged like a tidal wave, the sword energy cut through the candle flames in the late stage of foundation building, his mind penetrated the bronze badge, the spiritual blood binding hummed and resonated, and the jade slip map upgraded flashed, the complete image of the third layer of the maze, the core of the ghost bead and the 3 blood chain rules were unlocked. And the navigation extreme acceleration rune blood. Red pulsation, Muxue, the inventory is clear. The rules of absorbing ghosts in the first calamity have been reversed, swallowing hundreds of ghosts without mercy. Backlash, the ghost bead's first embryo melted into the inner elixir of the 3 Yin treasures, the soul essence, and the blood soul flag fragments, and the Yin power surged hundreds of feet. Lin Fan's intelligence network was forced to suppress it, and the assassins in the secret hall obeyed. Lin Fan's powerful ant could not give up in an open challenge. Tonight, the second rule of the Yin fusion treasure, build the golden elixir, sweep across the academy. He sat cross-legged, the ghost bead floated in front of his chest, black mist swirled like a dragon, his meridians were burning, and beads of sweat rolled down his forehead. Muxue's pretty face turned red, and she knelt down to the side. She unfolded her ice and snow protection. The wall of frost rose up like a mountain, and the cold air filled the air. She tapped her jade finger between her eyebrows to help the jade slip resonate, and whispered in an adoring voice, Yi Chen, your bloodline has awakened. The loser in the outer sect has surpassed the top of the inner sect in a blink of an eye. I, Muxue, use ice skills to keep up with the speed of the Thousand Shadows sword, and I will protect you to the death. The academy square outside the window is brightly lit, and Lin Fan is wearing a white robe. The sinister figure shouted a challenge on the stage, and the sound rolled in like thunder. The disciples in the audience whispered, and the wind was mixed with the smell of burnt lamp oil and the stench of excitement and sweat. Lin Fan, the elite of the inner sect, at the peak of foundation building, joins forces with Zhao Meng, Wang Sanfa, loser Yi Chen is dead. Muxue's beautiful eyes flashed with murderous intent, and the frost rose sharply. The temperature of the stone room dropped sharply. Lin Fan, you ant, dare to openly defy me, I will ask him to kneel down in the competition tomorrow. The soul of Chu Tian roared in the Qingming sword, and the sword body buzzed and shook the stone table to pieces. Boy, the second rule is reversed. The Yin Rong Bao absorbs the soul, triggers the upgrade of the Heavenly Tribulation Reincarnation Lock, and the purple-black thunder network descends. I share the remote control flying sword, the ultimate navigation locks the weakness of the tribulation thunder, the limit of the heart seal, follow the sword. Chen nodded, the first embryo of the ghost bead exploded with black light, the soul essence poured into the meridians like a tide, the sound of the expansion of the blood veins was loud, the yin qi of the three yin treasures inner elixir traveled along the acupoints, the blood-soul flag became fragmented and entangled with silk threads, the dark sword embryo condensed in the palm of the hand, the sword body pulsed like a heart beating, the yin force surged through the sword energy and rushed to the ceiling. The gravel splashed and hit the skin, causing pain. The air solidified, and the purple-black calamity clouds outside the window gathered more densely. The thunder roared like 10,000 drums beating in unison, and the lightning tore through the night sky and illuminated the stone chamber. The smell of burnt thunder was strong and choking, which made Muxue's knees sink. Her pretty face turned pale, the first calamity thunder. The peak of foundation building can't suppress it, and the murderous intent of Jindan law enforcement is approaching. Muxue's beautiful eyes widened with fear, and the edge of the ice skirt cracked and broke. She screamed and rushed to protect Yi Chen. Yi Chen, gods will not allow it. The purple and black thunder net locks the spiritual pressure, and your ghost treasure is refined. Before she could finish her words, the first purple thunder swooped down like a giant python. The roar was deafening, the wind pressure cut her face, hurting, and hit the top of the stone. Stone fragments poured down like rain, hitting her frosty wall and shattering in all directions. The Qingming sword surged on its own, and Chutian's remnant shouted loudly, sword navigation share. The sword's shadow cut through the night sky with thousands of shadows, locking on the weak point of the thunder net, intending to follow the sword to absorb the catastrophic force. The thunder light twisted and deflected, and exploded at the edge of the square, the fire was soaring into the sky and the heat wave was rolling, the brothers in the audience the disciples screamed and scattered. What? The calamity cloud actually smashed into the square, and Lin Fan challenged the platform and destroyed half of it. Lin Fan's white robe was charred black, his sinister face was twisted with fear, and his voice was trembling. This, in the direction of Yi Chen's stone chamber, the calamity is coming in person. Impossible, how can a loser violate the second rule? Yi Chen's meridians pierced like thousands of needles, his blood boiled and pushed back, the ghost bead sword embryo swallowed up the remaining power of the calamity thunder, the black light surged 10 feet, the Yin power soul-melting essence erupted like a volcano, the foundation bottleneck cracked and shattered, rushing straight to the edge of the golden elixir. Muxue gasped, her jade hands clenching his shoulders, the ice and heat mingled with her skin. Her voice trembled in admiration. Yi Chen, your bloodline, swallowed the tribulation thunder without any damage, and fed back the ghost treasure. Chu Tian's sword immortal divided the thousands of shadows and tore a gap in the tribulation net. My ice technique assisted in freezing the thunder residue, and Ding Dong crushed ice assisted in refining. The second tribulation thunder swept across, the purple and black web was as dense as spider silk, and the air exploded. The smell of cracking and burning hit the nostrils, the Muxueshuang wall disintegrated, the shock spurted blood and retreated, the pretty face was pale and despairing, the power of the golden elixir. My ice whirlpool at the peak of foundation building shattered, I can't hold it. The Chutian sword thundered, the remote control accelerated to the extreme, thousands of shadows of green dragon light rushed out of the cutting thunder net, the soul buzzed to share the heat wave, Yi Chen stood up with a cold snort, and the ghost sword embryo took shape, the netherworld sword. The sword body is as dark as an abyss, pulsating with green flames of Yin fire, the sword energy cuts the stone chamber into a vacuum for hundreds of feet, the cultivation level suddenly breaks through, the golden elixir is first formed, and the spiritual pressure is like a tsunami, overwhelming the lights in the square and extinguishing it. The disciples outside the window widened their eyes and knelt down with trembling knees. They secretly exclaimed, "Golden elixir spiritual pressure." Chen from the outer sect built the golden elixir overnight. The heavenly tribulation was reversed by the sword intention, and Lin Fan's face turned green. Lin Fan, the powerful man's face turned pale, his legs were weak and he knelt down. His voice was hoarse and frightened. "The monster, the ghost treasure has taken shape. The intelligence said that he is in the late stage of foundation building. How can the golden elixir be crushed?" Muxue he threw himself into Chen's arms, wrapped his jade hands around his waist, and his beautiful eyes were as bright as fire. Chen, the prototype of the netherworld sword is amazing. The Yin energy merges with the second rule, the sword speed exceeds 1,000 shadows, and my ice and snow assistant is even more powerful. From now on in the Hidden Immortal Academy, you are the only one in the world. Chen held the sword and laughed, and his spiritual pressure swept the square with contempt. Lin Fan and others scurried around like ants and trembled. The competition begins, I sweep. At dawn, the lights in the competition venue were rekindled, the stone platform in the square was repaired, and thousands of disciples gathered around to watch. The smell of sweat and excitement mixed with the smoke of gunpowder in the air. Lin Fan teamed up with more than 10 elites from the inner sect, and the white-robed fire cloud spear spirit skill came out. Zhao, the 3 fat dogs of the fierce king are back, with a wave of combined attacks at the peak of foundation building. The good-for-nothing Chen and the powerful Mr. Lin joined forces to kneel down and offer the ghost treasure. The shadow of the fireball, soul, wind and spear came, the heat wave burned the skin, the wind pressure cut the face, and the stone platform cracked. Muxue's ice skirt fluttered, her beautiful eyes were excited. Chen, come up. Chen stepped into the air, golden elixir spiritual pressure exploded, the air solidified and crackled, and with a wave of the nether sword, thousands of shadows were cut like a black tornado, the Chi soul fire shattered and the green flames evaporated, the first wave of elites howled miserably and spurted blood and flew backwards, Zhao Meng's fire cloud gun broke, Wang San's fat soul technique backfired and exploded, and the smell of blood rose to the sky. Lin Fan's eyes widened, the nobleman's face was twisted with fear, and his voice trembled, this sword intention, the golden elixir is invincible, the information is wrong. His soul claws rushed towards him, and the sinister green light bit his heart. Chen sneered, and the netherworld sword's green dragon light swept across 10 feet, cutting everything. The cutting attack was like cutting paper, and the bloody rain poured down on the remaining limbs. The loser knelt down and trembled, Brother Yi, spare your life. Lin Fan, we surrender. Muxue's glacial river poured down to freeze the remaining enemies, and the crackling explosion assisted. The disciples gasped and worshipped with beautiful eyes. Screaming, sweep the elites of the inner sect with one sword. Chen Jindan crushed them and established the Hidden Immortal Sect. We swear to follow. Chen's spiritual pressure was overwhelming and he glanced with disdain. Lin Fan is a powerful person. The intelligence network has been assigned to me. The outer sect secretly listens to the instructions. From now on the immortal sect has taken shape. Anyone who violates the laws of heaven will join our sect. Hundreds of losers kowtowed, shouting loudly, the sect leader is mighty. Lin Fan's knees weakened and he stood up and backed away, with jealousy and fear in his eyes. You dare to accept my clan's genius? As soon as he finished speaking, murderous intent descended from the sky. A peak of golden elixir spiritual pressure pressed down like a mountain, and the air burst with a strong burning smell. The white beard of the elder of the Lin Fan family fluttered, and the scepter flashed with blood. His voice was like thunder, boy, do you dare to accept the genius of my Lin family? The big family is suppressing it, and the Hidden Immortal Sect will be crushed. The elder's scepter was smashed. Next, a tsunami of blood and heat rolled in, the stone platform collapsed and rubble flew, and the disciples screamed and scattered. Muxue's pretty face turned pale and she held on to Yi Chen tightly. Yi Chen, Elder Lin. The golden elixir is at its peak, and the academy acquiesces. Yi Chen held the sword and sneered. The golden elixir spiritual pressure was reversed, the netherworld sword was buzzing and ready to go, and the crisis was murderous. The shattered rubble of the stone platform in the square was still rolling in the air. The smell of blood was mixed with gunpowder smoke and the pungent stench of scorched earth filled the air. Thousands of disciples' knees were weak and their faces were as white as paper. Sweat beads slid down their foreheads and crackled to the ground. They stared at the white-bearded figure in the sky with wide eyes. Their spiritual pressure was slowly pressing down like an invisible giant mountain. The air was crackling. Their breathing was like a lead block in their throats, and their chests were so painful that they burst. Elder Lin stood in the sky, hunting in white robes, the blood of the scepter pulsed like a heartbeat, and the golden elixir peak spiritual pressure around her body rolled like a tide. The heat wave mixed with the smell of blood and rust hit her face, and the frost on the edge of Muxue's ice skirt was crushed to pieces. Her pretty face was as pale as snow, and her beautiful eyes fear flashed in his heart, and his jade hand clenched Yi Chen's arm, his fingertips were cold and bone-chilling. Yi Chen, the peak of the golden core, a powerful figure in the Lin family, and the elders of the college tacitly agree. Behind him are dozens of early golden core guardians, and their spiritual pressure locks the square. Our hidden immortal sect's embryonic form cannot hold it. The elders' blood-red eyes were locked on Yi Chen, and the gloomy laughter rolled like thunder, which made the disciples' eardrums buzz and hurt. The cracks on the edge of the stone platform expanded, and the gravel rolled down and clanked. Boy, the loser of the outer sect dares to establish the hidden immortal sect? It's just a fluke to sweep away the elites of the inner sect. The intelligence says that you have a ghost treasure prototype in the late stage of foundation building, and now you are in the early stage of golden elixir. Humph, the genius of the Lin family, Lin Fan, summoned me. The scepter and the sea of blood swallow your netherworld sword. Hand over the badge, and you will be deprived of the qualifications to explore the cave. The hidden immortal sect is broken, and you kneel down to offer the treasure. With a wave of the scepter, the blood poured out like a tsunami, the heat wave burned the skin, and the fishy wind mixed with the smell of rotten blood. Dozens of guardians' white robes moved in unison, and the golden elixir spiritual pressure gathered into a net, and the air solidified and crackled, pressing directly on Yi Chen's meridians like needles and burning fire. Behind him, the knees of the hundreds of newly surrendered disciples all knelt down, their voices trembling and despairing. Sect Master, the powerful figures of the Lin family are pressing down on us. Our foundation-building body can't bear it, and our souls are crushed to pieces. Zhao Meng fell to the ground spurting blood, and the remains of the fire cloud gun rolled down. His face was distorted and he shouted in fear, "Young Master Lin, save me, Elder Lin will crush this monster." Lin Fan's white robe was charred and black, and he hid beside the elder. His sinister face was twisted with jealousy, and his voice was hoarse and trembling with excitement. "Elder, this ghost treasure netherworld sword violates the second rule of the heavenly way. The Yin fusion treasure sucks souls without disaster. The intelligence network is lost, and the outer secret hall listens to him." Instructor Zhang acquiesced. "But the ghost treasure will lead to the exposure of Heavenly Tao's conspiracy. The third calamity of the Black Gold Thunder Prison will be revealed, and the core rules of the Cave Ghost Palace will be exposed. The whole academy is chasing him." The words were like a knife, the disciples gasped, their beautiful eyes widened and fear spread, and the whispers turned to screaming, "Heaven's conspiracy." The ghost treasure went against the rules and locked the soul with black gold in the third calamity. The sect master is dead. Muxue's hands trembled, and the frost wall of ice and snow magic shattered, and blood spurted out from the shock. She rushed towards Yi Chen, her voice was desperate and weeping. "Yi Chen, Lin Fan is a dog thief revealed. The badge is bound to the spiritual blood and cannot be handed over. I interpret the jade slip of the cave map, the new clue, the core of the final secret realm ghost palace, the 3 blood chain taboos are unlocked, but the elder blood network is overwhelming, the protector attacks together, we are at a disadvantage in the early stage of the golden elixir. Chen clenched the netherworld sword, the blade pulsating with green flames, hissing, his blood spiritual pressure pushing back the early limit of the golden elixir, his meridians burning like tens of thousands of ants biting, sweat beads rolling down his forehead, but his cold and handsome face did not change, the sword energy cut through the air and the vacuum buzzed, but he was crushed by the elder's spiritual pressure like a mountain. His knees sank half an inch, and the bloody heat wave in the air became thicker, making him breathe heavily. The soul of Chu Tian roared in the golden iron of the Qingming sword, and the sword body buzzed faintly and shook the stone platform to pieces. Boy, the protector is in crisis. I secretly help, the flying sword is upgraded, the third seal of blood fusion, the heart seal is sublimated to the limit, the Qingming sword lends you the power of the netherworld, thousands of shadows cut and rise to 10,000 shadows of the blue dragon, the remote control navigation locks the weakness of the blood network. But the Lin family protector 10 count, elder's scepter blood soul lock, the disadvantage is overwhelming, hold back. Chen's mind penetrated, and the Qingming sword suddenly rose up. He moved with the sword and cut the edge of the blood light, but was rebounded by the spiritual pressure of the guardian golden elixir. The heat wave exploded and the fire was soaring into the sky, and the burnt smell stung his nose. He swallowed a mouthful of blood and swallowed it back in his throat. The spiritual pressure surged like a tide, but it was difficult to break through the net. The blood glow of the elder's scepter surged 10 feet, and the blood tsunami roared like the roar of thousands of beasts. The fishy wind cut his face and hurt Chen. The edge collapsed and backfired. She took 3 steps back with a pale face, her jade legs softened and she knelt down. Chen, blood soul lock spiritual pressure, my ice technique is broken, the sect disciples' spiritual veins are sealed. The faces of the hundreds of surrenders were gray and defeated, the spiritual pressure on top of the meridians was blocked, and the knees were trembling and the voice was broken. Sect master, we are powerless. The powerful people of the Lin family are crushing you. Take away the badge. Spare your life. Lin Fan laughed wildly, his sinister eyes flickering, pointing at Chen and taunting, you loser, look at you in the early stage of the golden elixir, you are like an ant in front of the elder's peak. The ghost treasure is exposed, and the third calamity of heaven is brewing, black gold thunder prison lock soul, the entire academy will destroy your hidden immortal sect. There was faint thunder rolling in the air, black clouds gathered in the distance, the oppression was as heavy as lead, the smell of scorching thunder became stronger, and the despair in the hearts of the disciples became more intense, and their beautiful eyes stared at the sky in fear. The third calamity is coming, the sect master is finished. Just when the sea of blood was overwhelming, Muxue's beautiful eyes lit up, her jade fingers hurriedly pressed between her eyebrows, the jade slip and the bronze badge resonated and buzzed, the blood-red runes pulsed and flashed, and a new map was projected, the core of the ghost palace, the final secret realm of the cave, and the 3 blood chain taboo rules were unlocked, the ultimate refining of the heaven-defying ghost treasure, the reincarnation lock of the heaven-swallowing way. Her voice was trembling and urgent, and her icy breath hit her face. Chen, hold on. New clues on the jade slip. The core of the ghost palace contains the heaven-defying pill. The third rule of melting can break the bottleneck, but it requires extreme acceleration of the badge navigation. The Lin family cannot confiscate it. My ice and snow assist frozen blood network, the sect protector. Chen snorted coldly, the netherworld sword's green dragon light erupted 10 feet away, and the green flames of the Yin force cut through the sea of blood, and the sword energy the vacuum pulled the heat wave and twisted, and the thousands of shadows of the Qingming sword sublimated. Chu Tian shouted loudly, follow the sword with your will, lock the weak points. Thousands of shadows were like a blue tornado, tearing apart the edge of the protector's spiritual pressure. A Lin family protector groaned and spurted blood and flew backwards. His white robe was scorched black and rolled to the ground, and the smell of blood filled his nose. He widened his eyes and screamed in fear, this sword intention, upgrades thousands of shadows, how can I break through my defense in the early stage of the golden elixir? The elder's face changed slightly, his white beard trembled, his scepter became more bloody, and his spiritual pressure surged like a mountain, secretly assisting me with the remnant soul of the sword immortal. Humph, the Lin family's team attacked together, the blood-soul formation rose up. Dozens of guardians roared together, the blood light gathered into the formation, the heat wave rolled like a knife, and the air burst and crackled, the pressure made Yi Chen's sword buzz and tremble, and the green flames of Yin fire dimmed half a minute. His meridians surged with blood, and his vision was blurred with sweat. Mu Xueshuang's wall shattered again. She threw herself around her waist, and the ice and heat blended and bit the bones. Yi Chen, the blood formation spiritual pressure seals the sutra, and my ice is shattered. Persevere, the new sect genius defect. As soon as he finished speaking, several figures emerged from the edge of the square. They turned out to be genius disciples of the Lin family. Their peak spiritual pressure exploded. Their faces twisted from jealousy to admiration. They knelt down and kowtowed loudly like thunder, the Lin family suppresses the sect, we defect. Sword invincible, accept us into the hidden immortal sect, and provide you with the information. The elder's weakness is the old bloodline, and the soul core of the scepter is on the left rib. The defecting genius stared at the elder with wide eyes, his voice trembling and excited. The elder is powerful and corrupt, we have long been tired of it. The sect master swept through the inner sect, and vowed to defy the law of heaven. Lin Fan's face was green and distorted, and he roared sinisterly, traitor. Elder, kill them. The elder's blood eyes flashed with murderous intent, and the scepter deflected and hit the defector. A tsunami of blood and heat burned the sky, but Yi Chen seized the opportunity and used the netherworld sword to borrow the green shadows. The 20-foot-long blue dragon light swept across, cutting the gaps in the blood array. The defecting genius rushed to submit, and the hidden immortal sect's power surged by 200. The disciples raised their knees slightly, and their beautiful eyes turned from shock to fanaticism. The sect leader counterattacked. The genius of the Lin family defected, the sect expanded, and the blood formation broke. Mu Zubinga froze the remaining blood, and clicked to assist the sword light. Her pretty face was pale but her beautiful eyes were brilliant. Yi Chen, the subjugation was successful, the new intelligence elder left rib soul core, the clue to the secret realm of the cave is stable. The elder roared, the peak spiritual pressure erupted like a volcano, the blood soul of the scepter locked onto Yi Chen's heart, the heat wave hit the meridians and sealed them, his knees sank again, the netherworld sword buzzed and was about to break. Chu Tian roared, boy, the black clouds of the third calamity are overwhelming, hold back and protect the sect. The black and gold thunder clouds in the distant sky were dense, the thunder was faint like the howling of 10,000 ghosts, the rotten smell of burnt thunder was strong and choking, and the suppressed murderous aura was everywhere in the disciples' faces. He was trembling with despair, the third calamity is coming. The ghost treasure is exposed, the sect master's badge is in danger. Yi Chen's blood boiled and pushed back, the sword energy cut through the vacuum, but the blood spurted out from the bloodlock, dyeing his handsome face. His cold and arrogant eyes were undying, holding the sword and growling, Lin family dignitaries, ants. The hidden immortal sect is immortal. The sea of blood roared again, the crisis tightened like a net, the air in the square solidified, and despair pressed endlessly. The sea of blood was like the roar of all beasts, the stinky heat wave mixed with the smell of rotten blood and rust hit his nostrils, the blood glow of the scepter pulsed like the heart of a living creature, the spiritual pressure locked on Yi Chen's heart was like an invisible iron pliers tightening the meridians, the pain of burning ants' bites made the edges of his vision flicker with black light, blood slipped from the corners of his lips, and dust was splashed with a bang on the ground. His knees sank slightly, the cracks on the edge of the stone platform expanded, and the gravel rolled down like rain. The 200 hidden immortal sect disciples in the square looked as gray as dead people, and sweat mixed with blood slid down their cheeks. Their knees clicked on the ground, and a desperate roar echoed, "Sect Master, the blood soul locks the meridians, the third calamity black gold thunder clouds are overwhelming, our spiritual veins are sealed, can't move." Muxue's jade body was trembling with ice and heat around her waist, and the ice and snow frost evaporated into white mist. Her nose was filled with cold and heat. Her beautiful eyes were filled with tears, and her voice was broken and weeping. Yi Chen, my heart is broken, the sect is over, the Lin family's powerful golden elixir is at its peak, and the guardian blood array is unsolvable. Lin Fan hid in the shadow of the elder's white robe, his sinister face twisted like a ghost, his green eyes flashed with jealousy, and his hoarse laughter made the air buzz. Good for nothing Yi Chen, the 200 losers of the Hidden Immortal sect kneel down like dogs. The elder's blood soul locks you at the beginning of the golden elixir. Time limit, the intelligence of the defected genius. So what if the soul core of the left rib is old, the scepter and the sea of blood swallow your ghost sword? The third calamity of heaven, the black gold thunder prison, is exposed, the entire academy is wiped out, and all your badges and jade slips are returned to the Lin family. The old white-bearded hunter, under the white robe, the golden elixir peak spiritual pressure erupted like a volcano, the heat wave burned his skin and hurt, his bloody eyes locked on the source of information on Yi Chen's left ribs. The faces of those geniuses who had defected from the Lin family were pale, their knees were weak and they were kneeling, their voices trembled. Broken, elder, please forgive me, our intelligence is wrong, the soul core is not weak. The disciples gasped, their beautiful eyes widened with fear, and the whispers turned into screams, defection, false information. The sect leader believed wrong, the blood formation is tighter, it's over. Yi Chenjuan's face was pale and sweating like rain, the netherworld sword was buzzing and about to break, the green flames were as dim as a candle, the green netherworld sword's thousands of shadows and the phantoms of the Canglong pulled at the vacuum, but were exploded by the blood soul array's backfire heat wave. The smell of burnt earth was choking his nose, his heart felt like being hit by an iron hammer, and the reverse blood surged up and was swallowed back in his throat. His mind was calculating like lightning. Lin Fan, the dog thief, called for reinforcements at the peak of the golden elixir, and the 10 guardians attacked the blood array together. There is no gap, the defection information of the left rib soul core may be half true, the dark clouds of the third calamity of heaven are overwhelming, and the ghost treasure is exposed and it is a dead end. But the jade slip resonates with the core of the new projection of the ghost palace, the 3 blood chains are taboo against the sky, the badge is tied to the spiritual blood and cannot be exchanged. Mu Shuebing assists the gap, the Chu Tian sword immortal secretly helps wanting sublime, the hidden immortal sect builds 200 foundations, the secret hall intelligence network, the outer sect instructor Zhang acquiesces, endure. First, pretend to be desperate, lure the elder's scepter to deflect, use the flying sword remote control navigation to lock the real weakness, outwit the formation, and then integrate the sect to set up an ambush to counterattack. Murderous intent flashed in the depths of his Leng Ao eyes, but his knees sank half an inch deeper. He groaned and spurted blood, staining his white robes red, and his voice was hoarse and pretended to be weak. Lin family dignitaries. Hidden Immortal sect. Immortal. His thoughts were like lightning, and he penetrated the Qingming sword, Senior Chu Tian, the limit of the third heart seal, the remote navigation lock elder's bloodline is old and really weak, the left rib of the soul core is verified by intelligence. The golden iron of Chutian's remnant soul roared, the sword buzzed, shook the stone platform, shattered and expanded, and the dust flew up and choked the nose. Young man is determined to protect the sect, I approve. The third seal of the bloodline fusion has been sublimated, the Qingming sword is the ultimate blue dragon, and the intention is to navigate with the sword. The elder's bloodline is 70% old, and the left rib of the soul core is hidden, the veins at the source of the blood sea of the scepter are exposed, and the gap is 3 inches, which can be broken. The Qingming sword suddenly surged into a phantom, and thousands of blue dragon lights hovered like a solid body. The edge of the blood array was pulled by a vacuum, and the heat wave twisted and crackled. A trace of green flaming force seeped into the left rib of the elder's white robe, and his soul muttered faintly. The elder's white beard trembled violently, his bloody eyes shrank, the bloody light of his scepter deflected and hit Yi Chen's weak body, and the heat wave and tsunami cut his face. My child is pretending to be dead. The blood soul swallows the heart. But driven by Yi Chen's thoughts, the netherworld sword borrowed thousands of shadows, and a 20-foot-long blue dragon glowed across the sky. Sweeping the gap, the green flames evaporated the blood soul. With a click, the protector's soul shattered and fell to the ground, howling miserably. Blood rain poured down on his skin, which was sticky and smelly. He widened his eyes and screamed in fear, "Sword intention navigation locks my soul core. How can I predict the blood formation in the early stage of the golden pill?" Muxue's beautiful eyes lit up, her jade fingers pressed between her brows, the resonance of the jade slip and the badge rose higher, the pulsating projection of the blood-red runes expanded, the core map of the ghost palace was as clear as the palm of a hand, the forbidden rules of the 3 blood chains flashed with golden light, the way of heaven controls the academy, the forbidden ghost cultivator maintains order, the 3rd rule of heaven-defying elixir breaks the bottleneck and swallows the reincarnation lock. Her icy breath rushed to her face. "Yi Chen, the jade slip has been cracked, the conspiracy of heaven is exposed. The elders of the college are all pawns of heaven. The ghost treasure is forbidden to lock the realm. The core of the ghost palace hides the anti-heaven pill. Let's work together to break the 3rd calamity." Yi Chen's heart flashed, manipulated by heaven. Lin Fan has heavenly support behind him. There must be a conspiracy in the college competition. Break the situation first and integrate the sects to sweep away the Lin family. He snorted coldly, the bloodline's spiritual pressure pushed back the limit of the golden elixir, the burning pain in the meridians transformed into murderous intent, the sword energy terrifyingly broke through the ban, the cracks in the frozen blood array of Muxue Glacier clicked, the auxiliary blue dragon light erupted 25 feet, cutting the soul core veins of the elder's left rib, and the smell of green flames burning the soul filled the air. The elder groaned, his white beard stained with blood, half of the blood sea of his scepter collapsed, the heat wave rolled back and burned the sky, and the burning smell rose to the sky. His bloody eyes widened in shock and trembled. "This, the flying sword remote control navigation locks my soul core. How can the Foundation Establishment sect have the Sword Immortal's legacy skill, the early stage of the golden elixir to reverse the bloodline?" Lin Fan's face turned as white as paper, his sinister eyes flashed with fear, and he took 3 steps back and almost fell down on the stone platform. "Elder, the defection information is true. The gap in the blood formation has been broken, and the black cloud of the 3rd calamity has not yet descended. Let's retreat." But Yi Chen seized the opportunity. "Leng Ao." The laughter was like thunder, making the disciples' eardrums buzz, and their spiritual pressure surged to the top of their heads. "Lin family dignitaries, you ants, etc. The Hidden Immortal sect's protective formation has risen, conquer the core." The 200 disciples raised their knees slightly, their beautiful eyes turned from shock to fanatical worship, and they roared in unison. "Lang Ruthide, the sect master is invincible. The flying sword navigation breaks through the peak of the golden core, and the blood formation is shattered." The defecting genius rushed to offer advice, his voice trembling and excited. "Sect master, the Lin family's weakness, the underground blood pool in the family hall, the source of the protector's spiritual veins, we and other intelligence networks will contribute." The bright sunlight pierced the edge of the black clouds, the thunder of the 3rd calamity was slow, and the rotten smell of burnt thunder faded away. Yi Chen rolled up his sword intent, and the 2 swords of Qingming Netherworld were combined. The guardian formation of 10,000 shadows Tsang tornado was broken, and the bloody light evaporated. Several guardians knelt down with blood spurting, their white robes scorched with dust, their eyes widened and they kowtowed in fear. "Sect master, spare your life. The Lin family is corrupt, we surrender." Muxue, a master of ice and snow skills, the remaining blood in the range froze and clicked, assisting the disciples of the sect to stand up. Her pretty face was pale but shining with splendor, and she held Yi Chen tightly in her jade hands. "Yi Chen, the clues to the conspiracy of heaven are stable, the ghost cultivator in the academy maintains order, Lin Fan will summon a full-scale encirclement and suppression, let's integrate training." Yi Chen nodded, thinking about the plan: retreat to the square first, set up an ambush for the Lin family team, conquer the backbone, expand the sect, and build the main hall. His spiritual pressure shook, and the rubble on the stone platform in the square flew up and filled with dust. He led more than 200 people to the new site of the Hidden Immortal Sect, the ruins of the abandoned cave on the outskirts of the college. The air was filled with a damp, moldy smell mixed with blood, and it was bitingly cold. In the ruins, Yi Chen had a cold and arrogant face, hunting in a blood-stained white robe, and glanced at the disciples. The crisis in the Hidden Immortal Sect has turned, the Lin family is about to be encircled and suppressed. Feijian navigation explores the family's weaknesses, Muxue deciphers the clues to the Jade Slip of Heaven, the Outer Sect Dark Hall Intelligence Network listened, and teacher Zhang acquiesced to the Zhongjian to train the foundation building formation Sanglong Sword Formation. Lend me the 2 swords. The disciples' faces were twisted and exhausted, and they turned to worship, and their knees hit the ground and they kowtowed loudly, "Follow the order of the sect master." The golden elixir pushed back to break the blood formation, and the sword immortal's soul protected the sect. "We will follow him to the death." Zhao Meng got up after being severely injured, and threw away the remains of the fire cloud spear. His eyes widened in fear and he surrendered. He knelt down tremblingly, "Sect master. I was wrong. The powerful people of the Lin family oppressed me. I will use the fire cloud spear soul technique to train the backbone." The defecting geniuses split up and the intelligence spread. 3 waves of Lin family's base building teams came to attack, and the weakness of the blood pool in the hall was exposed. The snow-white dress is frosty, the jade fingers caressing the jade slips are projected, the blood-red runes are pulsing, and the 3-blood chain rule unlocks the golden light. Her beautiful eyes stare at Yi Chen with admiration. Yi Chen, the instructor of the Heavenly Control Academy, who forbids ghosts and cultivates reincarnation, and the 3rd rule of the Ghost Palace's heaven-defying elixir. We must disobey it. Win. The Lin Fan family is encircling and ambushing the source of the blood pool. The game in Yi Chen's mind is like a chess game. The Lin family is fully suppressing the situation, 3 waves of golden elixir guards are lurking, and the 3rd calamity is brewing. Let's gain momentum with a small victory, train the Sanglong sword formation to gather the backbone, expand the clan by 300, and establish a palace to suppress it. He sneered, and the Qiming sword was remotely piloted and launched into the air. 10,000 shadows Sanglong penetrated the city's underground, buzzing to lock onto the veins of the blood pool in the Lin family hall, and the green flames and shadows cut and rehearsed. At noon, the Lin family's first wave of encirclement and suppression 50 foundations rushed into the ruins. The heat wave of spiritual pressure was rolling and the blood was shining. The leading protector roared, "Yi Chen is useless, the Hidden Immortal Sect is destroyed." But Yi Chen set up a perfect ambush, and the Sanglong sword formation was activated. The 200 disciples borrowed the 2 swords, and the sword energy was pulled in a vacuum, cutting the blood like minced meat, and the bloody rain poured down on the nostrils. The protector's eyes widened and he screamed in fear, "The sword array navigates the pulse, how can this sect train for half a day?" Golden elixir. They screamed miserably, and half of them knelt down, their eyes wide and trembling with admiration. "The master is invincible, the Lin family has surrendered." The 2nd and 3rd waves followed, and Yi Chen took action himself, with the netherworld sword 25 feet tall. The blue dragon swept across, the green flame steamed the soul, Muxue glacier froze to assist, and the enemy's bones were shattered. The disciples broke out in training, the fire cloud spear soul technique, and the dark hall killing formation all moved together. The air burst and crackled, and the smell of burnt blood filled the ruins. The victory stained the earth with blood, and the Hidden Immortal Sect expanded to 300 backbones. Yi Chen's spiritual pressure shook, and the ruins of the cave rebuilt the main hall, the Qiming sword navigation formation. The stone walls buzzed with golden light, and the green flames pulsed to protect the sect. The damp musty smell turned into fresh spiritual energy. The disciples knelt down and said enthusiastically, "The main hall of the sect master is standing. Sweep 3 waves of the Lin family and collect the backbone invincible." Lin Fan escaped from the spy in the distance, his sinister face twisted green. "Song, the sound transmission provocatively thundered, "Yi Chen, the final battle of the college competition is about to begin. I have heavenly support, countless golden elixir backups, the hidden immortal sect is broken, and the ghost treasure belongs to me." There was faint thunder at the edge of the black clouds, and the third calamity crisis was still unresolved. In the hall, Yi Chen held the sword coldly and arrogantly, his eyes boiling with murderous intent, thinking in his mind, heavenly conspiracy, the final battle of the competition, the core of the ghost palace to be discovered, Lin Fan, the ants are waiting to be slaughtered. The afternoon sun was as scorching as blood, and the aura in the Ancien Sex Hall was fresh and mixed with the residual scorched smell of blood. The golden light pulsating on the stone wall and the sect-protecting formation hummed and hummed. 300 core disciples crossed their knees and performed their exercises, sweat beads sliding down their cheeks and hitting the ground. The phantom of the Canlong sword formation hovered above their heads, and the sound of the swords was deafening like a dragon's roar. Yi Chen's white robe was stained with blood and made hunting noises. His handsome face was cold and his eyes were as sharp as knives. His swords in his hands were buzzing and resonating. The green flames were licking the swords and making a hissing sound. The stink of rotting souls filled the air. His thoughts swept through the jade slip projection like lightning, and the golden light of the three blood chains flashed. The third rule of heaven, ghost treasures are forbidden to be refined, and those who disobey will be reincarnated and their souls will be shattered. The snow-white dress is frosty and close to her body, her jade body is trembling slightly and her beautiful eyes are gazing with admiration, her jade fingers caressing the projection hastily. Yi Chen, the quarterfinals of the competition are about to start at dusk. Lin Fan's message has spread throughout the academy. The hidden immortal sect's ghost treasure has been exposed. Unite the elders of the Lin family, the Jin Dan backup, and the forces of the Zhang family and the Li family to encircle and suppress. The third calamity black gold thunder clouds are coming, and the academy square is blocked by spiritual pressure. The three of us 100 strong foundations are being built. How can we withstand the attack from the peak of the golden core? The disciples' faces turned pale, their knees felt weak, and the shadow of Zhao Meng's fire cloud spear was dim. His eyes widened and he trembled with fear. Sect Master, Lin Fan, the dog thief, summoned the heavenly Dao chess pieces, and thousands of people watched the battle. The moment the ghost treasure was revealed, it was a disaster. Our intelligence network detected that the blood formation on the top 8 stage was restarted, and the sect was destroyed. Lin Fan's voice echoed in the hall like a ghost crying and a wolf howling, and the evil bird's laughter was hoarse and harsh. Yi Chen is useless, the hidden immortal sect's 300 doglegs. In the competition with the top 8, the Lin family's 5 golden elixirs, and the elder's scepter are resurrected from the blood sea, and together with the Zhang and Li family, the hundreds of protectors there are countless foundation-building cannon fodders, and the third calamity of heaven will lock your ghost sword. All the badges, jade slips, and cave maps belong to me, and the genius Muxue will kneel down and lick the Lin family. Black clouds rolled over the top of the hall, thunder roared like 10,000 drums, and the smell of rotten thunder was heard. The golden light flickered on the edge of the third catastrophe. The disciples gasped, fear spread in their beautiful eyes, and the whispers turned into desperate roars. Sect Master. The chess pieces of heaven control the competition, the ghost treasure exposed the dead end. Lin Fan's ambition swallowed up the academy, our 300 foundations are like ants. The defecting genius kowtowed to the ground, his voice broken and crying, Sect Master, the weakness of the Lin family's blood pool has been destroyed, they are all over the place, our intelligence network is broken, and the Zhang family's fire spirit formation and the Li family's poisonous fog are unsolvable. Yi Chenling Ao raised the corner of his mouth slightly, his bloodline spiritual pressure pushed back the limit of the golden elixir, his meridians burned with fire and the bites of thousands of ants were painful. He swallowed the blood forcefully, and his knees sank slightly to pretend to be weak. He groaned and spurted blood-stained red stone platform and splashed dust with a snap. His mind flashed with calculations, Lin Fan and the ants' united forces. The top 8 blood formations are blocked, the third rule of heaven prohibits ghost treasures, disobedience will lead to disaster. But the 3 blood chains of jade slips unlock the clues to the heaven-defying elixir. The third seal of Chu Tian is the ultimate, the ghost sword of the underworld is half-awakened, Mu Shuabing assists, and the sexed Sanglong sword formation has 300 borrowings. Thousands of people watching the battle can defect. Be patient, lure the enemy deep into the arena, pretend to be desperate to suppress it, and then disobey and explode to sweep. His voice was hoarse and he pretended to be defeated. The dignitaries of the Lin family, the hidden immortal sect, no. He drove the Qingming sword with his thoughts. Senior Chu Tian, the third calamity is overwhelming, the blood formations of the top 8 navigation locks are all weak, and the whole sect uses the sword to kill instantly. The golden iron of Chu Tian's legacy laughed loudly, shaking the sword body and buzzing and cracking the stone. You disobeyed the law of heaven, I will protect you. Qingming's 10,000 shadows Canglong dragon locks all the veins, the netherworld ghost treasure is activated, the third rule is broken, the soul flies into the sky and swallows the sky with green flames. At dusk, the central square of the academy is crowded with tens of thousands of disciples watching the battle. Ryatsu heat waves are rolling like a sea of fire, and the air is filled with stench and blood mist. The top 8 stage is towering with hundreds of feet of stone pillars, and blood-red runes pulsing like living snakes, locking the entrance to the hidden immortal sect. Lin Fan's sinister face in white robes flashed with distorted green light, and the manic laughter in the center of the platform was like thunder. Here comes the good-for-nothing Yi Chen. 300 good-for-nothings from the hidden immortal sect knelt down, and together with the 7 golden elixir masters and 200 dharma protectors from the 3 families of Lin, Zhang and Li, the blood formation activated the ghost-swallowing sword. Elder by said Su Laihun reappeared, the sea of blood roared with the scepter and the heat wave burned the skin, the golden elixir peak spiritual pressure was overwhelming, the flames of the Zhang family's fire spirit elder in red robes shot into the sky, the poisonous mist elder in the Li family's green robe filled the face with the choking smell of rotten bones, and the guardian cannon fodder spiritual pressure surged like a tide. The 200 guardians' blood-glow chains scoffed, and the disciples who were watching the battle looked defeated, and their knees hit the ground. Their desperate screams echoed, Lin Fan is invincible, the 3 families are all in power, the golden elixir group attacks the hidden immortal sect and is shattered. Yi Chen's ghost treasure is exposed, and there is a catastrophe. Surrender, it's over. Muxue's jade body pressed against Yi Chen, her breath of ice rushed and choked her nose with cold and heat, and her beautiful eyes shone with tears. Yi Chen, there is no gap in the triple blood formation, the third calamity black cloud swallows the platform, our glacier is shattered. Yi Chen led 300 backbones into the square. The phantom of the Canglong sword formation was dim and stretched. The vacuum was exploded by the heat wave of the blood formation. The smell of scorched earth was soaring into the sky. His handsome face was pale and sweat was pouring down from his face. The netherworld sword was buzzing as it tried to cut off the green flames. Candle, his knees sank half an inch into the stone platform, gravel rolled down and clinked like rain, blood stained his robes, his voice was hoarse and he pretended to be weak. Lin Fan, the chess piece of heaven, the hidden immortal sect is destroyed. The whole audience burst into laughter and ridicule, and thousands of people watching the battle pointed their fingers. Jian snickered, the good-for-nothing sect leader is kneeling. The 7 golden elixirs are suppressing the realm, the ghost treasures are half open to rob the locks, and the genius Muxue is miserable. Lin Fan stepped forward with a sinister smile, the bloody light of the scepter smashed into Yi Chen's heart, and the iron pliers tightened the meridians, burning with pain, and the vision was black. The light flashed, kneel down and lick it, hand over the badge, the map of the ghost palace, the Lin family will monopolize the academy. The elders locked their blood eyes with murderous intent, the heat wave and tsunami cut their faces, the guardians' 200 foundation building spiritual pressure attacks together, and they were covered in blood chains and sneered at the smell of steaming flesh and blood. At the peak of despair, murderous intent surged deep in Yi Chen's eyes. Leng Ao's laughter was like a thunderous explosion that shook the eardrums of the audience. The bloodline awakening golden elixir was pushed back to its limit, and the spiritual pressure was as terrifying as a volcanic eruption. The third rule, Netherworld Ghost Treasure, fully activated. The jade slip badge resonated and buzzed, the blood-red runes exploded and golden light shot into the sky, the 3 blood chain taboo rules cracked and shattered, the core of the ghost palace flashed with the phantom projection of the heaven-defying pill, and the black clouds of heaven trembled and thundered slowly. The nether sword surged on its own, the ghost treasure took shape, green flames and fire roared like thousands of ghosts, the 25-foot-long blue dragon entity hovered, the soul absorbed the blood array, and the stench of rotten souls filled the entire place. Qingming sword Chu Tian roared, the soul of the sword immortal melts into the ghost treasure, and the flying sword navigates to the extreme, locking all weak points and killing enemies instantly. 10,000 shadows of black dragons followed the sword, and the buzzing and cutting blood formation vacuum pulled and crackled. The 3-inch gap expanded 10 feet, and the green flame penetrated into the hidden veins of the elder's left rib soul cores. The burning souls roared and clicked. The elder's white beard widened and his bloody eyes trembled in shock, his white robe was charred and black, and the scepter collapsed and the sea of blood rolled back in a heat wave. This, the ghost treasure violates the 3rd rule. The flying sword remote control navigation locks 70% of my old soul core. How can the golden elixir break through the prohibition of heaven in the early stage? The flames in the red robe of the Zhang family's fire spirit backfired and burned, and he screamed and fell to the ground, spitting blood. The sword's intention predicts the entire pulse of the fire spirit formation, the green flame steams the soul. Impossible. The poisonous mist elder of the Li family evaporated and the rotten smell rose to the sky, and his knees became weak and he almost knelt down. The voice was broken and frightened, the poisonous spirit is ineffective, the blue dragon light cuts through the fog core, our 7 golden elixirs are like dogs. The faces of the 200 foundation protectors turned pale, the blood chains shattered and the blood rain poured down, sticky and stinky, their eyes widened and they screamed in fear. Secret Master Ghost, the treasure exploded, and the calamity of heaven has not yet come. Lin Fan is finished. Lin Fan's sinister face turned green and twisted like a ghost, he stepped back 10 feet and almost fell out of the stage, trembling and hoarse. Elder, protect me. The information is wrong, the ghost sword sublimated into 10,000 shadows, he violated the law of heaven and calamity. Chen stepped forward coldly, his swords combined with 10,000 shadows of the blue dragon swept across the top 8 platform, green flames and fire steamed the soul in a radius of 25 feet, his hiss cut the veins of the golden elixir soul core, and the souls of the 5 elders shattered and fell to their knees in agony, their white robes were stained with blood and the dust, and the heat wave, burnt thunder, and rotten smell filled their nostrils. Muxue's beautiful eyes flashed with color, and her jade fingers pressed the ice and snow technique between her eyebrows to freeze the remaining blood in a large area, assisting the blue dragon light to lock Lin Fan. Chen, the alliance is revealed, the hidden immortal sect is invincible, the conspiracy of heaven is exposed, Lin Fan's ambition to swallow up the ghost palace and dominate the academy. Her white dress hunted and flew beside Chen. The jade hands clenched and the ice and heat blended together, thousands of people in the audience gasped, and the beautiful eyes widened in shock and turned into enthusiasm. Muxue Genius Alliance Chen. The Lin family of the heavenly chess piece is broken, the ghost treasure disobeys and wins the disaster. The watching disciples raised their knees slightly, and the roar was like a tsunami, the hidden immortal sect has reached the top. Lin Fan kneels down. Lin Fan screamed in despair, his spiritual pressure at the peak of foundation building collapsed, and his green eyes flashed with fear as he rushed to the edge of the stage. No. Heaven's backup, countless golden elixirs, my Lin family's blood pool. But Chen's flying sword navigation was instantly locked, and the nether green flames swept across the 25-foot-long sword. The green dragon's light cut through his sinister body with a crack, his flesh and blood evaporated and green flames hissed, his soul groaned and sucked in the residue, and the smell of burnt blood rose to the sky. His eyes widened and shattered, ambition, exposed, sect master Rao. The body fell outside the stage, dust flying. The whole place was silent for 3 breaths, and fanatical worship broke out. Chen is invincible. Sweeping the 7 golden elixirs, Lin Fan instantly killed. The top 8 of the Hidden Immortal sect reached the pinnacle of the academy. The 300 backboned Sanlong sword formation moved together, using the 2 swords and thousands of shadows to suppress the enemy. Half of the guardians knelt down and kowtowed. Trembling, "Sect Master, spare your life, Lin Zhongli surrender, I will give you all the information." Zhao Meng's fire cloud spear soul technique burst out, and the information of the defected genius was broadcast online to the whole audience. The projection of the jade slip of the conspiracy of heaven expanded and flashed with golden light. The elders of the college are all pawns, and the realm of forbidden ghosts is locked. Yi Chen's handsome face was cold and arrogant, his spiritual pressure surged to the top of the square, and he despised the worldly dignitaries like dust. "I am the only one in heaven and on earth, and the Lin family's powerful people are like ants." The Hidden Immortal sect swept the academy and competed at the top. Thousands of people knelt down like thunder. The pill breaks the reincarnation. But in an instant, the black clouds burst and the golden thunder roared, and the shadow of the true form of heaven descended into the sky. The pressure was like a mountain collapsing and the earth cracked, and the heat wave swallowed the sky. The smell of rotten thunder was pungent and piercing, and the cold thunder roared and shook the soul. "Those who disobey, die." The third calamity of the black gold thunder prison descended, locking Yi Chen's ghost treasure and buzzing. The crisis broke out. The black gold thunder prison poured down like an eternal demonic abyss, and the stench of rotting thunder was as strong as a pile of festering corpses, biting the nostrils and biting the bones. The stone platform in the academy square shattered and sank inch by inch. The edge of the 8-foot-long platform disintegrated and dust flew up. Thousands of disciples hit their knees on the ground and were bloody. Their faces were as white as paper and gasped. The beautiful eyes widened and the fear spread into a tide. The true form of heaven descended to the black gold thunder prison. Yi Chen's leader Gue Bao disobeyed. The 300 backbones of the Hidden Immortal sect were wiped out in ashes, and the foundation of our 10,000 people was like dust. The heat wave and the rotting thunder intertwined and burned the skin, and the spiritual pressure was like a mountain pressing the top of the meridians to cut off. Zhao, the shadow of the fierce fire cloud spear soul technique, was dim and stretched. His huge body trembled and he knelt down, sweat mixed with blood and banging on the rocks. His voice was broken and weeping. "Sect Master, the 7 golden elixirs have been broken, Lin Fan's body is cold, the way of heaven has transformed into a shadow of thousands of feet to lock the soul, our Sanlong sword formation has cut off the soul." The traitor genius Qing, the network was disconnected. Lin Zhongli's remaining guardians, half of whom had not yet surrendered, turned green and twisted and retreated. Their knees were weak and they almost fell. Their whispers turned into desperate roars. "The information is wrong. The chess pieces of heaven control the academy, the realm of forbidden ghosts and locks. Yi Chen's soul will fly if he disobeys, and all the information of our 3 families will be destroyed." Muxue's jade body trembled, her white dress cracked and cracked, her beautiful eyes shone with tears and stared at Yi Chen. Her jade hands clenched her arms and the ice and heat blended but were powerless. The choking cold air mixed with the smell of rotten thunder. Yi Chen. The third calamity of the black gold thunder prison is the ultimate, locked in the ghost treasure of the underworld, buzzing to pieces. Although the 3 blood chains of the bronze badge and jade slip are broken, the true body of the heavenly Tao is overwhelming, and our glacier technique cannot freeze the veins of the rotting thunder. Her jade fingers caressed the projection quickly. The golden light of the spiritual blood jade slip was dim and pulsating, and the shadow of the heaven-defying pill was swaying, and the desperate screams of thousands of people in the audience echoed like ghosts crying. Muxue's genius alliance is useless. The academy will be shattered when the way of heaven comes, and the Hidden Immortal sect will be destroyed as soon as it reaches the top. The red and green robes of the remaining elders of the Zhang family and the Li family were scorched and blackened, their soul cores were hidden in pain, and the green flames were burning. They widened their bloody eyes and trembled with regret. Lin Fan's ambition has implicated the 3 of us. The powerful people in the family gathered together, and the information was broken. Gue Bao rebelled and won the tribulation, but he summoned his true form and knelt down to lick the heavenly Tao to beg for mercy. The cannon fodder blood chain of the guardian was broken and smelly, and half of them kowtowed in surrender and bowed their heads in fear. Sect Master. Heaven is invincible. Lin Zhongli surrendered the information. Yi Qinjuan's face was pale and sweating like rain, his white robe was stained with blood, and his knees were slightly sunk. Half an inch of gravel rolled down, the netherworld sword green flame Yinhua was about to break, and the Qingming sword Chu Tian groaned in a suppressed voice. Tao. Incarnation. Hidden Immortal Sect. No. His thoughts were like lightning. The black gold thunder prison locked the veins of the ghost treasure, and the coercive rotten thunder swallowed the soul. However, the ultimate map of the jade slip unlocked the core of the ghost palace, the third seal of Chu Tian melted the soul to the extreme, Mu Zubingfu borrowed the strength, and the 300 backbone Sanglong borrowed the sword. Thousands of people watching the battle can defect. Suppress the temptation, then explode and violate the ultimate. The phantom of heaven glanced coldly with golden eyes thousands of feet high in the sky, and the sound of thunder boomed like thousands of drums beating in unison, shaking the eardrums. Yi Chen violated the third rule, the ghost treasure was broken, the reincarnation lock. The black gold thunder pillar was 100 feet thick and smashed down, the rotting thunder heat wave tsunami cut his face, the smell was choking, and the black light flickered in his field of vision, locking Yi Chen's heart pulse and buzzing and cutting. At the peak of despair, Muxue's beautiful eyes flashed with color, her jade fingers raised her brows anxiously, the jade slips of soul blood surged into the sky with golden light, the afterimages of the 3 blood chains were shattered, the core veins of the ghost palace projected on the ultimate map were fully opened, and the shadow of the heaven-defying pill solidified and shone with green light. Yi Chen. Cave Mansion interpretation of the ultimate map, the netherworld core of the ghost palace, the counterattack technique that violates the rules of heaven. The bronze badge is bound to the spiritual blood, and the resonance swallows the rotten thunder veins. Everyone in the audience gasped, their knees slightly raised and their eyes widened in shock. Muxue's genius has unlocked the ultimate. The Tao conspiracy was fully exposed, and the ghost palace's heaven-defying pill was revealed. Zhao Meng's body was shaken, the fire cloud spear soul technique rekindled, and the defected genius intelligence network restarted and roared. Sect Master, the map navigation heavenly Tao incarnates the weak soul core in the left rib, and the remaining intelligence from the 3 families, Zhang Jia Hualing, Li the weak point of the poison mist is locked. Yi Chenling Ao raised his lips slightly, and the bloodline awakening golden elixir pushed the limit of the spiritual pressure to the top. The 2 swords buzzed and the green flames surged. Muxue, join forces. Senior Chu Tian, the true form appears, the ultimate secret of Chuanbi. The golden and iron light of Qingming's sword exploded, and the shadow of Chu Tian's sword immortal's true body appeared hundreds of feet high. White-haired hunting sword eyebrows and starry eyes, golden robes pulsating, and thousands of shadows and black dragons circled above the head. The sword roared like a dragon's roar and made the black clouds tremble. Boy. The soul of the old man's sword immortal has merged with the ghost treasure to the extreme, and the third seal violates the ultimate technique. Flying sword the navigation lock transforms into the soul core, the green flames of the netherworld counterattack the rules of heaven, and the soul borrows the elixir to reverse reincarnation. His golden iron laugh echoed through the cracked stones in the square, and the heat wave sword intent cut through the rotten thunder. His true body pointed at Yi Chen's eyebrows, and the golden light of the disobedience tactic seeped into the meridians, burning and biting by thousands of ants, but the pain was like a surge, but his spiritual pressure surged. Yi Chen's handsome eyes were filled with murderous intent, and Lang Ao's laughter exploded like thunder, shaking the eardrums of the whole audience. Heavenly ants, incarnate you. Hidden Immortal Sect Protector, Ghost Treasure refined complete body, reversing the rules, backlash. His blood boiled and swallowed the jade. Jian Jingguang, the netherworld sword violently rages on its own, the ghost treasure is fully formed, the 50-foot-long blue dragon entity roars, and all ghosts roar together, the green flames and yin fire swallow the sky like a black sea, the stench of rotten souls mixes with the stench of rotten thunder and soars into the sky, locking the hidden vein of the soul core of the left rib of the incarnation of heaven. The golden eyes of the phantom of heaven shrank in shock, and the sound of thunder slowly broke. Violate, reverse the ultimate. The source core of the ghost palace counterattacks my rules. The black gold thunder pillar reversed and pulled, the green flame penetrated into the veins of the soul core and burned, and the golden light disintegrated and the heat wave rolled back. Chu Tian's body, the myriad shadows of the blue dragon, followed the sword, buzzing and cutting, transforming into a weak vacuum that expanded 10 feet, and the navigation locked all the veins. Boy, borrow my sword soul, instant kill. Yi Chen's two swords combined, the 50-foot-long blue dragon swept across the thunder prison, the green flame steaming soul cut into pieces, the black gold thunder prison shattered and rotted, the thunderstorm poured down and evaporated, and the stench filled the entire field of vision with green light flashing. The soul core of the left side of the incarnation of heavenly Tao exploded and golden blood sprayed like rain. The shadow trembled and the body half knelt high in the air. The pressure collapsed and the spiritual pressure reacted with burning pain. He roared, "The rules are broken. Yi Chen, part of my power belongs to you." The green flame absorbs the golden light and surges. Yi Chen's spiritual pressure pushes back to the peak limit of the golden elixir. The meridians are on fire and the spiritual energy is flowing like a river. The remaining elders of the Zhang family, whose red robes were extinguished in flames, scoffed, their bloody eyes widened with regret, and they knelt down with regret and trembling. Their voices were hoarse and broken. The sect leader is invincible. The fire spirit array information is wrong, the incarnation of heaven bites back. We, the powerful ants of the Zhang family, have surrendered all the sect's information, and the weaknesses of the blood pool have been redrawn. The poisonous fog elder of the Li family's green robes evaporated and the smell of rotting bones rose to the sky. His knees hit the ground and were stained with blood. He screamed in fear and turned to worship. The poison spirit is invalid, the green flame locks the core, the sect leader. Disobeying the law of victory, the Li family surrendered, and all the family's secrets were presented. All the guardians surrendered, their blood chains shattered and blood rained down, and they all roared and kowtowed like thunder. The remaining intelligence networks of the three families are merging. Training the backbone of the Canglong sword formation, the sect master spared his life to follow. Zhao Meng's fire cloud gun assisted and locked the remaining enemies, and the defecting genius flew to the audience. The chess pieces of the heavens Tao are exposed, the elders of the academy are all fake, and the clues to the ghost palace's heaven-defying pill are locked. Muxue's jade body flew up to cling to Yi Chen, her beautiful eyes flashed with admiration, her breath of ice rushed and choked her nose, blending with the cold and heat. She clasped her jade hands and whispered, "Yi Chen, the complete body of the ghost treasure is a 50-foot-long blue dragon, which counterattacks part of the power of heaven. Your golden elixir peaks spiritual pressure alone, Lord. Let's join forces to explore the ghost palace and break the reincarnation lock with the heaven-defying pill." The 300 backbone Canglong sword formation used two swords to suppress the situation. Thousands of people in the audience turned from despair to fanaticism. They raised their knees and worshipped like a tsunami. "Master Yi Chen, I am the only one in the world. Lord." Protecting the sect against the sky, the hidden immortal sect swept through the three colleges, and the competition was at its peak forever. Yi Chenjuan's face was cold and arrogant, and he looked down on the shadow in the sky. His spiritual pressure surged and the stone platform in the square buzzed, and the green flames of his two swords licked him. Mortal power. Zhongli from Guilin has turned into the dust of the sect. The heavenly Tao has transformed into a broken soul, counterattacking the rules. The hidden immortal sect is expanding, and the ghost palace is waiting to be explored. Chu Tian's golden iron body laughed and merged into the Qingming sword. "Boy, the ultimate technique is the best, I will protect you and ascend." Yi Chen clenched the Qingming sword, his eyes were as firm as iron, his bloodline spiritual pressure rushed up to meet the calamity, and the sword light soared into the sky. "Come on, you ant of heaven, I have rebelled." The clouds of calamity were overwhelming. Muxue held his hand tightly, her beautiful eyes flashed with determination. Lin Fan's rumors had been spread, the academy's Jindan law enforcement was coming, there was murderous intent in the distance, and a bigger storm was coming. The afterglow of dusk fell on the academy square, and the bloody and rotten smell in the rubble and dust gradually faded away. Tens of thousands of disciples raised their knees slightly, their faces turning from pale to trembling and feverish. Their eyes were fixed on the phantom of the final ascension 1,000,000 feet high in the sky. The golden thunder was as thick as a mountain and rolled down with a roar. The stench of rotting thunder was like a mountain of billions of corpses, choking the nose and lungs. The heat wave cut into the face and burned the skin, and the spiritual pressure was like a boundless black abyss swallowing the whole place. The edge of the top 8 stage has become a scorched earth pit, and there are endless cracking sounds. Zhao Meng's huge body kneels down again and stains the stone dust. The shadow of the fire cloud spear soul technique pulls and dims, sweat and blood are mixed and dripping. His hoarse voice is broken and weeping, Sect Master. The ultimate ascension catastrophe, 10 times the golden thunder lock ghost treasure veins, our Canglong sword formation is built like ants, the academy is completely shattered. The remaining elders of the Zhang family, whose red robes were scorched black embers, chirped, green his eyes widened and he twisted back in fear, his knees were weak and he almost fell down and shouted, the fire spirit intelligence is completely destroyed. The ultimate puppet of the heavenly Tao is suppressing the situation. Lin Fan's remnants have hidden veins and have not yet been eliminated. The sect master can carry it alone, and all our powerful people are useless. The green robe of the poisonous fog elder of the Li family evaporated and the smell of rotten bones hit his nose. His bloody eyes trembled and kowtowed, the poisonous spirit's weakness lock is ineffective, the ultimate robbery soul, our Li family's intelligence network is broken, sect master, spare your life. Muxue's jade body trembled, and the white dress was shattered and the frost cracked again. Her beautiful eyes were shining with tears as she stared at Chen. Her jade hands clenched her arms, which were fused with ice and heat. The choking cold air mixed with the smell of rotting thunder, Chen, the golden thunder veins of the 1,000,000-foot phantom shadow are extremely strong, and the ghost treasure's complete body, the 50-foot-long blue dragon, is buzzing to pieces. Although the bronze badge and jade slip ultimate map is open, and the core of the ultimate robbery of heaven, our glacier technique cannot freeze billions of rotting thunder. Thousands of people in the audience screamed in despair. It echoed like ghosts crying and wolf howling, knees hitting the ground with bloody flesh. At the peak of the hidden immortal sect, the heavenly Tao is finally destroyed. The genius alliance of Muxue is shattered, and the sect master violates the limit and flies away. The Lin family's genius defected and the new convert turned pale, but the intelligence network restarted slowly, and the whispers turned to fearful whispers. Intelligence of the remnant party, Lin Fan's soul is not extinct, there is a hidden vein of the puppet of the heavenly Tao, 3 powerful ants, the sect leader is invincible, but he fights alone to the end. Yichenjuan's face was pale and stained with blood, and his white robe made a noise. His knees sank slightly. A few inches of gravel rolled down. The green flames of the netherworld sword twitched and pulled, and the Qingming sword Chu Tian groaned in a suppressed voice. He groaned and sprayed the blood-stained platform, splashing dust, pretending to be weak, and his voice was hoarse and broken, Heaven Tao, the ultimate calamity, the hidden immortal sect, no. His mind was like lightning and he was calculating, he ascended to calamity and locked the ghost treasure source core, but the ultimate map of the jade slip navigated the hidden vein of the core of heaven's way, Mu Shuabing assisted Chu Tian to merge, the 3 million backbone Sanglong defected, Lin Zhongli's intelligence merger locked the puppets of the remnants of the party. Lower the temptation, and then explode the ultimate integration. The high-altitude golden thunder was 10 times as strong as it smashed into the rotting thunder and tsunami. Black light flickered in the field of vision, and the smell was pungent and the spiritual pressure cut through the nose and the heart pulse buzzed. At the peak of despair, the corner of Yi Chen's Ling Ao mouth slightly raised. The golden elixir's peak spiritual pressure swallowed up part of the power of the heavenly Tao. The power of the heavenly Tao surged and reversed. The rivers of his meridians surged unparalleled. His handsome eyes flashed with murderous intent and he laughed like thunder. His eardrums were buzzing, the remnants of the heavenly Tao, the ultimate calamity, etc. The entire Hidden Immortal sect obeys the order, that Sanlong sword formation borrows 2 swords to suppress the realm, 300 backbone intelligence locks the remnants, and tens of thousands of people build foundations to worship the protector. Mu Zobinga, Chu Fu, Senior Tian's secret technique of merging, the flying sword navigation points directly to the core. Everyone in the audience gasped and raised their knees slightly, their eyes widened in shock and enthusiasm. The master is invincible. Integrate the entire academy. The ultimate disaster of heaven is reversed, and we powerful ants are following. Zhao Meng's body was shaken, and the fire cloud spear soul skill rekindled, and he shouted to help lock the enemy. The master's order, the dark veins of Lin Fan's remnants are hidden in the enemy. Muxue's beautiful eyes flashed with admiration, her jade fingers knotted her eyebrows anxiously, and her soul blood jade slips soared into the sky with golden light. The cold air of the glacier technique poured out like an eternal sea of ice, chi-chi, frozen rotten thunder veins clicked loudly, and her nose was filled with cold and heat. Yi Chen. Bingfu is finally here. Navigating the polar map, the hidden vein in the left rib of the core of heaven is exposed, and the weakness of the puppet controlled by Lin Fan's remnant soul is locked. The bronze badge bound to the spiritual blood resonates, the Ghost Palace's netherworld core map is fully opened and the green light flashes, and the phantom of the heaven-defying elixir solidifies and pulses. Her jade body flew up and leaned against the ice, her beautiful eyes whispered with admiration, "We are invincible together, the ice river freezes the calamity veins, I swear to sweep with the sect leader." The golden and iron light of Chu Tian's green underworld sword burst out, and the shadow of the true body once again condensed into the white-haired hunter, and thousands of shadows of the blue dragon circled above the head, the sword roared and the dragon roared. The black cloud trembled, "Boy! I have the ultimate secret technique of fusion, the sword's soul melts into the ghost treasure, the flying sword navigation lock is the ultimate core, and it violates the rules and backfires 100 times." He pointed at the center of Yi Chen's eyebrows, and the golden light penetrated into the meridians, and the spiritual pressure surged, and the heat wave of the sword cut through the rotten thunder and evaporated. Yi Chen's blood is boiling and the 2 swords are combined. The netherworld sword ghost treasure completes the 50-foot-long blue dragon entity and roars. All ghosts roar together, green flames, een fire, and black sea swallow the sky. The green underworld sword Chu Tian combined secret technique is blessed with gold and iron. The blue dragon's intention buzzes and cuts as the sword moves, locking the high-altitude final ascension and tribulation. The hidden vein in the left rib core is scorching. Flying sword navigation, pointing directly to the core of heaven. Yi Chen laughed coldly and arrogantly, the stone platform in the square was sinking with the overwhelming spiritual pressure, the green flames steamed the soul, and the golden thunder reversed and pulled, and the golden blood spattered like rain, and the smell filled the field of vision intertwined with green and gold. The intelligence network for the defection of geniuses from the Lin family was fully opened and they roared, "Sect Master!" Lin Fan's remnant soul is hiding in the southeast puppet, controlled by the 3 remnants of the Golden Core Party, and the weak point blood pool is locked. The 300 backbone Sanlong sword formation used 2 swords to suppress the foundation and broke out at the peak of the foundation. The sword light swept through the southeast dark veins like a tsunami. The red and green robed elders of the Zhang family kowtow in surrender. The fire spirit poisonous mist intelligence merges to assist in locking the enemy. The red-robed elder trembles and worships, the fire spirit formation redraws the weakness of the blood pool, the sect leader's flying sword navigates and cuts, and the whole Zhang family surrenders. The blood eyes of the green-robed elder flash, the poisonous mist locks the puppet pulse, the intelligence network expands, and the entire Li family follows. Zhao Meng's fire cloud gun soul skill bursts to assist, and he rushes to kill the remnants, bloody and fleshy, rough. Roaring Jintian, the sect master gathered all his strength, the puppet of heaven was shattered, Lin Fan's residual soul was exposed, the left side of the soul core. Thousands of people in the audience turned from despair to fanaticism. They raised their knees and knelt down to worship. A tsunami of voices, the Hidden Immortal sect expands the entire academy. The sect master's flying sword navigation is invincible, the 3 million backbones and 10,000 people are blue dragon protectors, and the powerful ants have all descended. The ultimate ascension in the sky, the shadow of 1,000,000-foot-tall trembling golden eyes shrunk in shock, the sound of thunder broke and roared, Violate, reverse integration. The core hidden vein, shattered. Green flame seeped into the left rib, the soul core exploded, the golden thunder disintegrated, the heat wave rolled back the black clouds and evaporated, and the rotten thunderstorm poured down, the stench of the landing gradually faded, and the vision became clear. Chu Tian's body of gold and iron laughed loudly, and his sword intent instantly killed and cut through the vacuum by 100 feet. Boy, the secret technique of fusion is the ultimate, and the rules of counterattack are fully activated. Yi Chen's spiritual pressure reversed and pushed the peak of the golden elixir to the edge of the Yuanying. The spiritual energy in his meridians was like a vast ocean, and the green-golden flames of his two swords licked and converged, and the 50-foot-long blue dragon circled to protect the top. Muxue's ice river technique freezes the remnants of thunder with a crackling sound, her beautiful eyes cling to her jade hands tightly in admiration. Yi Chen, the door to the nascent soul at the peak of the golden elixir is half open, the ghost treasure has completely swallowed the ultimate power, and together we can join hands in the ghost palace without any hindrance. The aftermath of the square was calm, the golden red afterglow of dusk was falling, the blood stains gradually dried in the gravel and dust, the rotten smell faded away, and the aura of freshness hit the nostrils. Thousands of disciples stood up to wipe the blood and sweat, their faces were rosy with admiration, and they whispered, "The sect leader integrates the entire academy." Flying swords navigation disintegrated the ultimate catastrophe. Lin Zhongli and powerful people knelt and licked, and the Hidden Immortal sect became famous in the city for cultivating immortals. Zhao Meng panted and knelt down to offer the jade slip of the spear and soul technique. His sweat and blood dried up and his voice became hoarse and respectful. "Sect Master, I present all the information on the fire cloud spear, the training of the backbone. The practice of the Canglong sword formation has reached 350, and the top 8 in the academy have been rebuilt forever." A group of genius defectors from the Lin family knelt down to present the secret scroll, their faces turned green and turned fanatical. Lin Fan's remnant party has been eliminated, the family's secret scroll, all the ghost cultivators have been fully opened, and the sect leader has the exclusive status. We will die to expand the intelligence network 3 times. The red-robed elder of the Zhang family kowtowed to the blood pool and the jade slips shone with golden light, and the green-robed elder of the Li family offered the soul core to heal the hidden wounds. 3 powerful ants, the treasures are all over the nest, and the sect leader's guidance is soaring. Yi Chenjun glanced at the audience with a cold and arrogant face, the bloodstains in his white robe turned to spiritual light to wash away the hunting, his spiritual pressure was overwhelming and the thousands of people bowed their heads and buzzed. His contemptuous smile echoed like gold and iron. The ordinary forest and Zhongli have turned into the dust of the Hidden Immortal sect. The conspiracy of heaven has collapsed, the ghost source of the ghost palace is yet to be discovered, and the heaven-defying pill breaks the reincarnation lock. The whole sect is obeying the order, expanding the academy, training is in progress. Firm Canglong. Mu Shui's jade body nestled in the fusion of ice and heat, her beautiful eyes murmuring, "Yi Chen, the bronze badge is upgraded and bound, the ultimate map guides the entire underground cave in the city, Mu Shui's ice and snow skills are sworn to follow, and we join forces to sweep." Chu Tian's green underworld sword hummed into his low voice, "Boy, the secret technique of merging, knocking on the door of the nascent soul, I will follow you forever." Thousands of people roared in worship to the sky. The aura of the Academy Square skyrocketed with the glory of the sword array, the fame and status of the Hidden Immortal sect spread instantly, the secret scrolls of the 3 sects merged in the intelligence network piled up like a mountain, the green flames of the complete body of the ghost treasure hovered gently, and Yi Chen's cultivation level approached the nascent soul and the tsunami of spiritual pressure was restrained. The backbone of the Dharma protector and foundation building training kept shouting, "Master, I am the only one in heaven and on earth." In the aftermath of the competition, the academy will remain a hidden immortal forever. But in an instant, the black clouds in the sky dispersed and the golden light cracked and the ascending passage loomed. The core of the netherworld pulsed with green light and soared into the sky. The residual voice of heaven echoed in pieces, "Collapse, the rules are broken, the time to reach the top has come." Yi Chen's handsome eyes flashed, and he held the sword with a cold laugh and went up. The afterglow of dusk was like a blood-stained sky. In the scorched earth potholes at the edge of the top 8 stage in the Academy Square, gravel rolled down with a clanking sound. The fresh spiritual energy mixed with the residual rotten odor filled the nostrils. Tens of thousands of disciples smashed their knees to the ground, stained with blood. His face changed from enthusiasm to trembling fear, his eyes were fixed on the ascending passage thousands of feet high in the sky, the black clouds were cracked with golden light piercing his eyes like swords, the buzzing spiritual pressure cut into his heart and hurt, and the heat wave stirred up dust that choked his nose and lungs. Zhao Meng's huge body knelt down and smashed into the stone dust again. The jade slips of the fire cloud spear soul technique were dim and dull, with sweat and blood dripping down. His hoarse voice was broken and weeping. "Sect Master, the remnant souls of the heavenly Tao gathered in the Ascension Passage, and the ancient immortals' conspiracy was exposed. The foundation of our Canglong sword formation is like dust, and thousands of people are powerless to protect the sect." The Zhang family's red-robed elder scoffed at the charred embers, his green eyes widened and twisted in fear, his knees were weak and he almost fell down and shouted, "The fire spirit intelligence has locked the ancient immortal's veins. The incarnation in the passage has suppressed the realm. Lin Fan's remnant soul has eliminated the heavenly way and all the chess pieces are out. The sect master enters alone, and all our dignitaries are shattered." The green-robed elder of the Li family's poisonous mist evaporated and the smell of rotten bones hit his nose. His blood-stained eyes trembled and he kowtowed, "The weakness of the poisonous spirit is ineffective, the ancient immortal's heavenly way swallows the soul, our Li family's intelligence has judged, sect master, spare your life." Muxue's jade body trembled and her white skirt cracked with ice. She stared at the entrance of the passage with tears in her eyes. Her jade hands clenched the void and the ice and heat were fused together. The choking cold air mixed with the golden heat wave, Yi Chen. The incarnation of the ancient immortal in the 10,000 feet passage is entrenched. The green light of the source of the netherworld is pulsating. Although the ultimate map of the bronze badge and jade slip is navigated, the rules of heaven bite back 100 times. Our glacier technique cannot freeze billions of ancient immortal thunders. Everyone in the audience was in despair. The cry echoed like a billion ghosts, and their knees hit the ground with bloody flesh and snaps. At the peak of the hidden immortal sect, the ancient immortal heavenly Tao was destroyed. The genius alliance of Muxue was shattered, and the sect master violated the limit and his soul was scattered. The Lin family's genius new convert turned pale and the intelligence network was slow to restart, and the whispers turned into fearful whispers. The ancient immortal controlled the heavenly way to maintain balance, Lin Fan's ambitious chess pieces were wiped out, our intelligence was destroyed, and the sect master became the incarnation of a solo battle. The golden light in the passage skyrocketed, the abyss buzzed and expanded, the heat wave poured down like a sea of fire and cut into the field of vision. The shadow of the ancient immortal incarnate slowly condensed into a 1,000-foot golden robe with white hair. His eyes looked down coldly like a boundless galaxy. The sound of thunder shook the eardrums like a mountain collapsing and the earth cracked. Yi Chen, the disobedient, the sky the rules of the Tao are broken, and the will of the ancient immortals remains forever. The balance of urban immortal cultivation, Yuans are forever imprisoned in the golden elixir, and the incarnation of the ascension channel is destroyed with one thought. The golden thunder is as thick as a giant dragon, circling and roaring 10 times, the putrid spiritual pressure swallows the walls of the channel and cracks, and the smell is like a mountain of corpses pouring out of hundreds of millions of years. Yi Chenjuan's face was pale and stained with blood, his white-robed hunter's knees were slightly sunk, the gravel jingled, the green flames of the netherworld sword twitched and pulled, the Qingming sword Chu Tian groaned and suppressed, he groaned and spurted blood-stained passages and splashed dust, pretending to be weak and his voice was hoarse and broken, ancient immortal. Incarnation. Hidden Immortal Sect. No. His thoughts were like lightning. The channel source core locked the core of the ancient immortal, but the ultimate jade slip map navigated the essence of the netherworld. Muxue having assisted Chu Tian to merge, and 3 million backbones and 10,000 people were protected by blue dragons. The weakness of the ancient immortal was exposed. Keep the temptation low, and then explode the melting sword to destroy the incarnation. Thousands of people outside the square heard the sound of thunder and their knees weakened and they all fell down. Zhao Meng's body trembled and he shouted, "The ancient immortal transformed into 1,000-foot golden thunder to lock the soul, our sword formation is useless." Muxue's beautiful eyes were filled with despair and tears rolled down, her jade fingers were pressed anxiously, but the spiritual blood jade slip was dim, the glacier cannot freeze the veins of the ancient immortal, Chen. Chu Tian's Qingming sword buzzed and trembled, and his true form was white-haired hunting hunter and whispered, "Boy. I am at the limit of my secret skills, and the ancient immortal is backlashing." The crowd was at the peak of despair, and the disciples turned pale and screamed, "The master is trapped in the incarnation, and the hidden immortal sect is dead." In an instant, the corner of Yi Chen's Ling Ao mouth slightly raised. The strength of the ancient immortal in the golden elixir peak limit spiritual pressure absorption channel surged and reversed, and the meridians and rivers surged unparalleled. His handsome eyes flashed with murderous intent and he laughed like thunder exploding, shaking the walls of the channel, the remnants of the ancient immortal, incarnate you. The whole hidden immortal sect obeys the order, the Canlong sword formation protects the pressure outside, Mu Shuebinghe assists, and Chu Tian senior merges with you. Ming, the flying sword is pointing directly at the source core. The people in the square gasped and raised their knees slightly, their eyes widened in shock and enthusiasm. The Lord is invincible, melting the sword to destroy the ancient immortals. We are the powerful ants following. Zhao Meng's body was shaken, and the fire cloud gun soul power exploded, and he roared to assist the outside enemy. Under the command of the Lord, the Canlong sword formation is formed, and the information of the ancient immortal chess pieces is transmitted to the 3 secret veins on the passage wall. Mu Shue's beautiful eyes flashed with admiration, her jade body flew out of the passageway, and the jade slips of spirit and blood surged into the sky with golden light. The cold air of the glacier technique poured out like an eternal sea of ice, chi-chi, the frozen golden thunder veins clicked, and the choking nose was filled with cold and heat, Yi Chen. Bing Fu's ultimate map navigation, the hidden vein of the ancient immortal's left rib source core is exposed, and the weakness is locked. The bronze badge bound to the spiritual blood resonates, the Ghost Palace's netherworld source core map is fully opened, and the green light flashes, and the phantom of the heaven-defying pill is solid and pulsating. Her jade body rushed into the passage and leaned against the ice. Her beautiful eyes whispered with admiration, "We are invincible together." The ice river freezes and transforms into veins. I swear to be a Taoist companion and follow the sect leader forever. The golden and iron light of Chu Tian's Qingming sword burst out, and the shadow of his true body condensed into the white-haired hunter. Thousands of shadows of the black dragon circled above the head, the sword roared and the dragon roared, and the passage trembled. "Boy. I recognize the master." The ultimate secret technique of merging, the sword's soul melts into the ghostly treasure, and the flying sword navigates to lock the core of the ancient immortal source, violating the rules and counterattacking 1,000 times. He pointed at Yi Chen's eyebrows, and the golden light penetrated into the meridians, and the spiritual pressure surged. The heat wave of the sword cut the golden thunder and evaporated. Chu Tian's voice became trembling and respectful, "My lord, my sword's soul will always follow, and the nascent soul will ascend." Yi Chen's blood is boiling and the 2 swords are combined. The netherworld sword ghost treasure completes the 50-foot-long blue dragon entity. All ghosts roar together, green flames, dark fire, and the black sea swallow the sky. The green underworld sword Chu Tian recognizes the master and merges with the secret technique to bless the gold and iron. The blue dragon's intention buzzes and cuts with the sword, locking the ancient immortal's incarnation, the source core hidden vein in the left rib shishi burning. The walls of the passage cracked and cracked, green and golden flames licked, and the stench of heat wave filled the vision. Flying sword navigation, melting the essence of the cave, destroying the source with one strike. Chen laughed coldly and arrogantly, the golden light of the spiritual pressure overwhelming channels sank down, the green flame steamed the soul and the golden thunder reversed and pulled, and the golden blood splashed like rain and the smell filled the air. The genius of the Lin family newly returned to the intelligence network and roared, "My lord! The dark veins of the ancient immortal chess pieces have been wiped out, and the three families' secret scrolls have locked the source core." The peak of the 300 backbone Sanglong sword formation's outer protection foundation exploded, and the sword light swept across the remaining enemies outside the passage like a tsunami. The red and green-robed elders of the Zhang family surrendered and kowtowed, and the fire spirit and poisonous mist intelligence merged to help lock the enemy. The red-robed elder trembled and worshipped, the fire spirit array redraws the source core weakness, and the master's flying sword navigates and cuts, and the entire Zhang family surrenders. The blood eyes of the green-robed elder flashed, the poisonous mist locks the body's pulse, the intelligence network expands, and the entire Li family follows. Zhao Meng's fire cloud gun soul skill bursts to assist, and the huge body rushes to kill the enemy and the remaining flesh and blood are blurred. Roared loudly to the sky, "My lord, gather all your strength, the ancient immortal's incarnation is shattered, Lin Fan's execution information is fully revealed." Thousands of people in the audience turned from despair to fanaticism, and raised their knees and knelt down to worship the tsunami of voices. The hidden immortal sect leads the city to cultivate immortals. My lord's flying sword navigation is invincible, 3 million backbone Sanglong protectors, the powerful ants have all descended. The blood chain of the Guardian's foundation was broken and sticky, and the entire training sword formation hummed in the square. In the passage, the ancient immortal transformed into 1,000-foot-tall trembling golden eyes and shrunk in shock. The sound of thunder broke and roared, "Violate, reverse fusion sword." The hidden vein of the source core, shattered. The whole picture of the way of heaven, the balance controlled by the ancient immortal, collapse. Green flames seeped into the left ribs and the source core exploded. The golden thunder disintegrated and the heat wave rolled back the black clouds and evaporated. The rotten thunderstorm fell to the ground. Chu Tian's body was made of gold and iron. He laughed loudly and used his sword intent to instantly kill and cut through the vacuum. The vacuum expanded thousands of feet. "Your Majesty, the secret technique of recognizing the master is the ultimate, and the rules of counterattacking the ancient immortals are fully activated." Chen's spiritual pressure reversed the peak of the golden elixir and went straight to the completion of the nascent soul. The spiritual energy in his meridians was like a sea of stars. The sky is boundless, the green-golden flames of the two swords are licking and converging, the 50-foot-long blue dragon is circling and protecting the top, the netherworld sword is melting into the cave, the essence is humming and pulsing, the aura of the heaven-defying elixir entrance is bursting. The meridians are reshaping the golden elixir, and the nascent soul has become a spiritual pressure tsunami master. Muxue ice river technique freezes the residual thunder and makes a crackling sound. Her beautiful eyes turn to tears of admiration and joy. Her jade body flies up to hug Chen tightly. The ice heat blends with the jade finger spirit and blood marks between her eyebrows. Chen. The nascent soul has become a ghost treasure and the essence has melted. The conspiracy of the ancient immortal to destroy heaven has collapsed. We have become a Taoist couple. The ice and snow magic will always follow the Lord to sweep across the fairy world. People outside the square gasped with their eyes wide open. Muxue's genius has made a Taoist companion. My lord, nascent soul, is the only lord, and the ancient immortal ant. Chen's handsome eyes glanced at Muxue gently, and his cold and arrogant voice turned soft and golden and iron echoed, "Swear, my Taoist companion will always be with you, and the hidden immortal sect will be forever." Chu Tian's white-haired hunter knelt down at the entrance of the passage, and his true body kowtowed, "My lord, the sword immortal recognizes his master, and Qingming will protect him forever." The golden light of the passage dissipates and ascends. The portal is fully opened. The spiritual energy of the fairy world pours out like a tide and is refreshing. The aftermath of the square is calm. Dusk turns to the night sky. The spiritual light washes away the blood stains in the gravel and dust. The rotten odor fades away. The fairy air fills the field of vision and is bright. Thousands of disciples stood up and wiped their blood and sweat, their faces rosy with admiration and buzzing with enthusiasm. The Lord will destroy the incarnation of the ancient immortal and reveal the whole picture of heaven. The Hidden Immortal sect leads the urban immortal world, and the Academy's permanent intelligence network expands tenfold, with thousands of backbones in the Canglong sword formation. Zhao Meng panted and knelt down to present a complete set of spear soul magic jade slips. His voice was hoarse with dry sweat and blood, and he roared respectfully, "My lord, the fire cloud intelligence is overwhelming, the core training of the Canglong sword formation has reached 500, and the Academy's top 8 platforms have rebuilt the immortal formation." The new geniuses of the Lin family knelt down and presented the secret scrolls to the mountain. Their faces turned green and they kowtowed fervently. Lin Fan has killed the remnants of his party, and all the secret scrolls of the family's ghost cultivators have been opened. I am the only master in the world, and we will die for the information. The network expanded tenfold. The red-robed elder of the Zhang family kowtowed to the blood pool and the jade slips shimmered with golden light. The green-robed elder of the Li family presented the soul core with a bottle of poisonous mist to heal the hidden damage. They shouted, "3 powerful ants, the treasures are all over the nest, and the master is ascending." Yi Chen's nascent soul spiritual pressure dominates the crowd and lowers his head and hums. He scans the whole place with a contemptuous smile. The bloodstains in his white robe turn to the fairy light to wash away the hunters. The 2 swords circle 50 feet and the blue dragon whispers to protect the law. The common forest Zhongli Zhao has become the cornerstone of the Hidden Immortal sect. The conspiracy of the ancient immortals and heavens has collapsed, the Ghost Palace's netherworld source core has fused the sword, and the heaven-defying elixir has broken the cycle of reincarnation. The whole sect listened to the order and established the eternal Hidden Immortal sect. Zong, lead the urban immortal world, and protect the way to the immortal world. Muxue's jade body nestled in the fusion of ice and heat, and her beautiful eyes murmured, "Husband, the bronze badge is bound to the immortal world, the ultimate map guides the entire cave of the immortal world." Muxue Taoist vows to follow, and join hands to sweep forever. Chu Tianqing Mingjian hummed into the low voice, "Master, the sword soul recognizes the master and protects, the door to the immortal world is wide open." Thousands of people roared in worship, the sword formation soared into the sky, the immortal energy in the Academy Square skyrocketed, the fame and status of the Hidden Immortal sect spread, and the urban immortal world trembled. The intelligence network merged with 3 secret scrolls and piled up mountains of immortal treasures. The ghost treasure's complete green flame hovered gently for 50 feet. Yi Chen's nascent soul's spiritual pressure tsunami was restrained and dominated the way of heaven. The backbone of the Dharma protector and foundation building training kept making waves. I am the only one in the heaven and on the earth. The competition is complete, the Hidden Immortal sect will forever rule, and ascend to the immortal world. Yi Chen held Mu Shuiyu's hand, accompanied by Chu Tian's sword soul, and stepped into the ascension portal with a cold smile. The golden light engulfed the figure, and the aura of the immortal world roared forever. At the peak of the Hidden Immortal sect, tens of thousands of people knelt down to watch, and the tearful worship was endless. The Lord ascended, the Hidden Immortal will live forever. Under the bright stars, the immortal array in the Academy Square buzzed, "Immortal." But in an instant, the black clouds in the sky collapsed again, and the golden thunder was 10 times stronger and roared with the eternal magic sound. The rotten thunder smelled like a sea of rotting corpses in the doomsday. The final ascension tribulation shadow loomed in the million-foot pressure realm, blocking the complete body of Yi Chen's ghost treasure, buzzing and trembling. Violate the limit, die. The peak showdown is about to begin, and the crisis arises again.